Act. We start with some video footage, Pearl. I know you saw it.
Yeah, Jordan Love was out on the practice field doing Perloff-like dance moves, moving around pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm an expert on this subject, right?
You claim to be. I don't know that you are.
I sprained my MCL skiing last winter and have been in physical therapy.
Honestly, the fact that there's no video of that is one of the great crimes.
Well, I was going down that mountain pretty fast. You would have had to have a cameraman in the right spot. When I say going down, not on skis, I mean off skis, flying down on an icy mountain in the Poconos. So Jordan Love has a strained MCL. Same thing that knocked Jimmy Butler. I'm an expert. My eyes are open for this. You can be out for 4 weeks, but if you PT for 8 hours a day, you shoot it up, you can definitely play. Like if he wanted to play, the question is, and we have a vested interest, we both have the Packers going to the Super Bowl.
We do.
The question is, if you look big picture, is it worth it for him to play? With a brace, I don't think there's a massive risk of re-injury, but let's face it, do they need him this week? I say no. This is a great opportunity to sit him for a week and just hang around, and wait for Will Levis to hand you the game.
Okay. Well, yes, unless Will Levis gets some kind of brain transplant, Frankenstein style, before the game. He's a guy maybe you could count on making a big mental error. I get what you're saying.
Maybe.
Maybe, definitely. And the Titans are a 2-point favorite in this game, which kind of reflects, I think, that Love is not going to play.
Right. It feels like that's a Malik Willis line. But this is a hang-around game, just like last week. I feel like the Packers, their defense looked crazy, stepped up to the challenge last week.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson's inconsistency kind of helped them. I don't know if the Colts are that good of a team.
But Titans' offense is terrible.
Oh, I'm with you. If Levis can't get the playmakers the ball, and if he's going to have bad turnovers, how many of these games in week 2, these out-of-nowhere losses came down to turnovers? The Ravens game was like that. There's a lot of games that were like that. So, yeah, those turnovers are crucial. But here's the thing, though, about Jordan Love. There just might be a reality here that this knee is going to be a thing for the season. That just might be the reality.
Based on what medical science?
Well, I'm just saying, how are you going to get so healthy? I don't know how you're going to, outside of your bye week, which doesn't come until week 10. So you're not even close.
But it's not torn, so you're not going to cut on it anyway. So it's just a matter of time.
That's what I'm just saying. Is it a matter of time, or is it a matter of getting used to playing with this injury and, getting used to what it's going to be like? And not only that, getting your wide receivers used to what life is going to be like now if your knee's a little bit compromised, and getting your offensive line a little more used to it. Because, the more they get cohesion, this is such a young team, the Green Bay Packers, the more cohesion they have, I think the better off it is. And if there's not a huge risk of a massive re-injury, and if Love has to play a certain type of way, I kind of like Tennessee as I'm not disrespecting the Titans here, but I would say a little bit of a warm-up game before you play the Vikings. That game's important.
Right.
Brian Flores might really have something in store for you for that in terms of defense. I might want to be out there a little bit with my offensive line. I might want to be out there with my receivers. Hey, this is what I can do. This is what I can't do. You were used to me rolling out to my right, and I'm hitting you here. Well, it's going to look a little more like this now. I kind of like that before a very important division game against Minnesota.
Oh, get him on the field.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this team. They are a young team. They've had famously all these first-round picks on defense. They kept drafting defense when Aaron Rodgers was there. So maybe you're right. The Colts were bad last week, but I feel like all these guys, if you put the onus on this defense, it actually makes them step up and deliver to their potential, which – they have incredibly, like Quay Walker runs around like that guy should be a superstar.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the Packers defense never puts it together. I feel like this is their opportunity to show, Malik Willis is not going to throw much. He's going to run.
Right.
They're going to hand the ball off a lot. Now, the one thing that is a little different, I thought it was surprising that the Colts just didn't put every single player in the box against the Packers last week. And then they did in the second half. I think the Packers stopped moving the ball altogether. So I do think the Titans give a little time to a backup quarterback and you'll figure it out. But all you have to do is keep it close. And I'm telling you, if Brian Callahan, the coach, lets Will Levis have the ball, he will blow that game. There's no maybe. He will definitely cost them that game.
EJ's like a no lies detected. Okay, well then still, my theory about getting Jordan Love out there, if he's going to blow the game, he's going to blow the game. If you really believe that, maybe the fact is maybe Jordan Love is out there and he looks okay and maybe Malik Willis is finishing the game. I don't know. Maybe you're up by 2 touchdowns and you feel like, all right, 2 touchdowns maybe isn't enough to get your starter off the field in the NFL or college. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I want him out there. I want this offensive line knowing what it's like to be with Jordan Love now when he's not 100%. Because, newsflash, this is what it's going to be like for the rest of the year. Because as you mentioned, they're not doing surgery. So this is all about pain management, pain tolerance. It's all about, finding a way.
I think it's about stability. Like, you don't want that slight tear. A sprain is basically a slight tear. You don't want that tear to go further.
Yeah.
And no, I understand what you're saying. Like, the other thing, in the NFL, generally young quarterbacks always play. Like, Trevor Lawrence could have a limb hanging off and he'll show up on Sunday.
Yeah.
They do something weird.
Mahomes.
You have no idea what that medical staff can do. I mean, they probably give him these anti-inflammatories that'll help. So he can play. Right now, we don't know, but he probably will play, but I don't think they need to. I think they can beat this team anyway. And if they lose, it's a road game in the AFC. It's not impactful. You mentioned it. That's a huge game next week against Minnesota in Green Bay. I think you gear up for that one.
855-212-4227. I remember, I've worked with some professional athletes, so have you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always such an interesting question about whether to take the shot. The numbing shot, right? So you just can't feel anything. A lot of guys, I know we talk about, just go in halftime, take a shot, and it's kind of become this thing. A lot of guys don't like taking them. And the reason why is they want to feel, where is the pain? You're feeling no pain out there. You can actually do a lot more damage, as opposed to when you actually are feeling the pain, you can adjust a little bit more. Like, hey, I've got to stop favoring this versus this. So I know what you're saying. Like, he'll rehab for 8 hours a day and you can shoot it up and get out there. It's not a given that all guys love to do that, because in some ways you're kind of sacrificing your body. You could hurt yourself even worse.
I hear you, but the shot helps you rehab, because you can't do the rehab exercises if there's pain. So generally, as someone who's had many casual weekend warrior rehabs, if I had to rehab my shoulder, I couldn't do any of the exercise. He gave me a shot. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like Mr. Universe here. So
I just flexing.
He's definitely going to do it. He's definitely going to do some form of cortisone shot. He probably already has. The question is, you can't do, if you do more than 3, then you're risking the tendon, and they have to be smart long term. But
sure.
I don't know if I totally agree. I think most NFL players tend to get the shot.
Let's hear from Jordan Love. This was him yesterday. Says no decision yet on if he will play on Sunday, but he is hopeful.
I'm going to take the week and just take it day by day and see how it feels. But I'm not going to make any decision on that now. I'm hopeful that I'll get to that point where I can get in there. But we're just going to take it day by day and see.
All right. So they're going to hold this close to the vest, probably for competitive purposes too. Probably not smart to show your hand totally to the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, make that coaching staff work.
Yeah. Well, Malik Willis, this isn't the same coaching staff, but in theory, they know him, I guess. The players do.
That's true. Is it a totally different coaching staff? Anyone hang out from the defensive side? Who knows?
I don't think so. They had a lot of turnover. Again, 855-212-4227. Let's hear from the Packer fans. We know, not just in Wisconsin, you guys are all over the country. Packer fans I'm always shocked how many Packer fans I meet who have never really lived a day in Wisconsin. That franchise is one of those that's coast to coast. Should Jordan Love play, if he can protect himself, if there's a little mobility?
Yeah,
like he's
obviously.
Lamar Jackson. Like he is mobile because he's a good athlete. But
he's not he's not a running quarterback.
No,
anyway.
I don't think of him that way.
Pure pocket quarterback. Who he always reminds me of? Aaron Rodgers. They look alike. The way they throw the ball off their back foot, crazy throw. He has incredible arm talent. I think he can do it in the pocket. I don't think there's any fear. This is going to be a close, ugly game with either quarterback. Tennessee is 0-2 and should easily be 2-0. They have a quality defense. They just, it's very clear. If they just punted on every single offensive possession, just drop back and give the ball to the punter on first down, they'd be 2-0.
That's just insane. I mean, Bryce Young got benched this week. That had to happen in Carolina, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, how Will Levis still has the job?
Yeah, we'll see. Will Levis, I think, is he's Joe Namath compared to Bryce Young. Bryce Young is the worst statistical quarterback we've seen in 25 years.
Right, but what is he compared to his backup? Listen, it's week 2. It'd be way too early to bench him, but if you have another mental mishap, By the way, this is supposed to be about the Packers. I don't know how now it's about the Titans. But if you have another mental mishap 3 weeks in a row that costs your team, how do you, as a coach, do you stand up in front of your team and say, hey, guys, like, you got to play harder? Like, what? You got to play smarter. It's like, well, then why is this dude still playing?
Well, it is relevant to the Packers in a sense. Like, what's the Packers' plan here? Do they think they can win with Malik Willis? That's a very important question for them, and I think they can.
I don't think many people thought they were going to win last week, and look at what they did, And you're right, it wasn't pretty, but who cares? 855-212-4227. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in on Jordan Love and on the Packers. Again, this is a team Perloff and I both picked to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You have them winning it, though, and I have them losing, right?
No,
I'm
Joe
sorry.
Burrow winning.
I went with Angela's advice, the tarot card reader, that the Chiefs would make it to the Super Bowl but lose.
Oh, so you have the Packers beating the Chiefs?
That's not on our document.
Oh, do I have the Chiefs winning?
No.
I feel like Perloff now.
No, I feel like one of you have the Chiefs, one of you have the Bengals.
Perloff definitely has the Bengals.
Oh, I'm not sure if Angela was in time. I picked the Bengals to win, never bet against Joe Burrow.
I think I did. I thought I picked the Chiefs. But then I was like, oh, Angela, the tarot card reader, was pretty adamant.
Wasn't Angela the day after?
She might have been. Oh,
That's
and I was
thing,
lamenting it. That's what it was. I felt regret.
Ryan, thank you.
Thank you, Ryan Botcher. Good morning. Yeah, I have the Chiefs three-peating, and I feel great about it. Going against a tarot card reader, though, that's a unique, I don't know.
But
regret.
Do you feel that way because she said the Bills aren't going to win, and you kind of know that's probably the truth? Like, that's why.
Thank you,
Proof of concept.
That's why you're like, oh, no.
To be fair, she only said the next 5 years.
So we had this conversation right afterwards. Peter Schrager of the NFL Network has picked the right Super Bowl matchup 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
And I said, Maggie, I got great news. Schrager picked the Chiefs over the Packers. And she goes, oh, my God, and so did Angela. I'm like, it's not exactly same.
No, Angela said the Chiefs would get to the Super Bowl and lose.
Well,
That's what the card said. It's not Angela.
Like,
she doesn't know the Chiefs from the Packers. She's not a sports fan at all. It's the cards, Pearl.
Well, I'm just saying Peter's an outstanding NFL analyst, and tarot cards are this fake thing, and I'm not sure you made that distinction in your take. You're like, yeah, Peter said it, but the cards had this, like, well, actually, I don't know.
I wouldn't start calling it. I wouldn't start saying that the cards are all fake. It's just fate, man. You don't believe in any of that?
Oh, well, I wouldn't bet on any of that. Like, I'm not going to Angela for gambling advice.
Well, let's be honest, too. I mean, you can know all the football in the world. Picking the correct Super Bowl winner is
Schrager has 5 years in a row.
Okay, that's great for him, but this might just be a little bit of like a lucky streak because Peter King, 3-time sports writer of the year, thumb on the pulse of the league better than anyone for 40 years, never picked the right Super Bowl winner.
Peter always said, I hate doing picks, I get them all wrong. But, I mean, are we having serious conversation here? Do you trust Peter Schrager or Angela more? We should almost put that as a poll.
It's not Angela. It's the cards. She's just the vehicle. Like, she's the, conduit, the medium.
She's not here. We don't have to do this right now.
No, but she would even tell you she knows nothing about sports, which I like about her. She's not swayed by any kind of biases. Like, she's not some diehard Browns fan or something.
What's going on here?
What?
Do you really think those cards are telling you who's going to be in the Super Bowl?
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to tell us who's in the Super Bowl, but I do believe there's like a little something to tarot card reading. You think it's all hogwash?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't
now
think
who's couching?
I don't think there's anything. No, I don't want to threaten the dark arts. I don't want to end up on the
late.
Yeah, like I'm a little, but no. I don't think. I think it's fun, and like I think Angela is clued into human instinct a little bit, but no, I don't think that there is anything about who's going to win the Super Bowl in those cards. Because if you just shuffle them a different way.
No, Pearl, that's it. They're getting pulled for a reason.
I even think astrology is more real than that, because at least that's based on sun and stars. Like there's actually something there, not just the shuffle of a deck.
Isn't life just a shuffle of the deck, guys?
Can you guys help me out here? Am I crazy, or is Maggie a little bit peculiar on this one?
You're not wrong, but you're not right.
Who, me or Perloff?
Perloff.
Oh.
People believe what they want to believe. If you want to be delusional, be delusional.
Put that on a shirt. That's the motto of my life. I'm going to be delusional, be delusional. Listen.
I'm in a household that loves horoscopes, so if I love horoscopes, I can't really
You love them because you think they're true?
I feel like horoscopes are very close.
Okay.
And if you really know what you're doing, like my fiance is very into them, so now I've learned more about it. If you really know like all your suns and moons and all that stuff, it is very applicable.
I don't know about like daily horoscopes, like, hey, you're going to run into someone you know today or something like that. But I do think that there are some tendencies of people's personalities depending on when they were born. You don't think that?
Nope.
Wow.
Nothing,
really?
huh?
No.
Okay.
So wait, what's your sign?
Cancer. But I generally don't think, no, I mean, I'm an adult. Like, I don't think, I think it's cute to talk about, but I always thought it was half a bit when people are doing those things. Like the onion horoscope is great.
That is awesome. Is awesome. 855-212-4227. What's Jordan Love's horoscope? This is where it all started. If he can protect himself, if the knee is stable, should he be out there against the Titans? Perloff says no, I say yes. Can we get Angela on short notice?
You know, there is a science to all those. There's a long history of how that works.
What's that? Astrology?
Like con men, like tarot card readers. Like they know what they're doing, and fortune tellers. Like actually that is really interesting how people can tell something about you based on information you don't even know you're giving them.
That I've seen John Oliver did a whole thing debunking like mediums and all that stuff, and I totally get that, and I think it is a con. People who tell you like, oh, your Aunt Sue is trying to tell you that you da-da-da. But then I witnessed it in person one time, and it does kind of blow your mind. They are that good, where it feels like they can get something out of someone's past that they've never met before, and it's like pretty close. Have you ever witnessed this in person?
No.
I did once at work. They did this, People magazine did it, and they picked some random production assistant from like the way back of the room, and they were like, your Uncle John's here. She's like, what? It's crazy. 855-212-4227. Packers, Titans.
The stars, the moons.
What's in the cards? Literally, the tarot cards. You're welcome to weigh in. Good morning on YouTube, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork, and on X at Maggie Gray. Again, lots more to do today. Not just it's not the dark arts of tarot card, the spiritual, celestial, whatever. We've got boots on the ground football tonight. Jets, Patriots. Could this game be a little closer than people had previously imagined? Get to that. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam and just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. All right, the debate today, should the Packers play a hobbling Jordan Love on Sunday against the Titans? You can give us a call, 855-212-4227. It's a tough decision. It's early in the season. We treat every game like it's a must-win game in the NFL because there's only 17 games. But an AFC road game in Week 3, are you really going to risk your quarterback? I think that it'd be smart for them to sit him. Maggie says if he can go out there, might as well get used to it because, the Packers are probably fighting for playoff life, home field, that kind of thing. Every game's a big deal.
Well, and not only that, I'm not trying to get Jordan Love hurt. I did pick them to go to the Super Bowl just like you, but I'm not trying to get him hurt. I'm just saying if he's going to be managing this all season, which he might be because he's not going to have surgery, if you can get out there and protect yourself, let the rest of, not only you as the quarterback, let the rest of the team get used to what it's going to be like with you not 100%. Because this could be it for the season. And you say 17 games. Geez, for now. I mean, it's only going to be a matter of time. 18, 19, 20. How high could we go?
Goodell's not going to add one this regular season.
Are you sure?
95% sure.
He would if he could. You are welcome to weigh in. Again, 855-212-4227. Someone has changed their name in our chat to, I don't know what it was before. Whoever this was is now Maggie's range anxiety.
I'm trying to figure out what
from my electric car.
Oh.
That's what it was. CeeLo is here with us doing updates this morning. I almost had a really bad situation driving from the Sports Illustrated had a big reunion last week, and I didn't understand. I didn't even pay attention about how many miles were left in the charge of my car. And I
Are you a new
number.
electric charge owner?
It would be a better story if I was. No, just a moron.
Okay.
I've had it now for about a year and a half. So, no, I can't plead ignorance on this one. I'm just an
Nice.
idiot. But I did make it home.
And your family has a non-electric car, too. That you
I could have taken
opted
that
not
one.
to use.
Could have taken that one. Could have charged it while I was home.
Now, let me ask you this, because I just saw this within the last couple of days to get a little local here. Have you been hit with this electric vehicle charge? You're in New Jersey, right?
Yep.
Have you been billed for that by the state? No? Oh,
No,
okay.
we get money back for all of this
All
stuff.
right, because I saw somebody say basically that the state was looking to recover some of the tax that they're losing on those who pay for gas. So if you have an electric vehicle, they hit you with like a yearly fee now. So I was curious if you had to deal with that at all.
No, but
Okay.
I'm going to wake my husband up right now and ask him.
Maybe that was fake news. I saw somebody post that on social media, so I don't know if that's still to come or whatever. But I
No.
was just curious since I just learned that you were an electric vehicle person.
Yeah,
or at
I
least
am.
half of your family.
Half of us are because I do so much highway driving and
Yeah.
back and forth. But here's the thing. They gave us a rebate because we put the supercharger in.
Okay, yeah,
our
no, I know
garage.
the rebates are available. It just seemed like the state was like, we're still going to get ours. So and some of that money you're saving on not buying gas, we're gonna get that back.
No, that'd be very politics.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why I was curious. It seemed like
A
a good time
flip-flop.
of year for there to be some sort of political connection there. Yeah,
Right before an election.
Yeah.
It's a good idea to piss off car owners.
Right. Probably wait till the day after and then roll that out.
Very good. What else you got for us, CeeLo?
All right. Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle and get a quote at progressive.com. Wanted to start with Jordan Love as well. No, you guys have been discussing it already. So we thought he was going to miss at least a month, maybe more with that MCL sprain. But he was back on the practice field yesterday, though head coach Matt LaFleur was, shocker, less than forthcoming as the media grilled him for details on Love's participation.
What was Jordan able to do for you today?
He was limited, Bill.
Was he able to do team?
He was limited.
Yes or no on team?
He was limited.
In team?
He was limited.
Regardless of how limited he may or may not have been, what does it mean to have him out there at least?
Yeah, I think it's always great to have your quarterback out there, but we'll see how he progresses throughout the course of the week.
Gotta love the back and forth, the dance there. As they
Did you
try to
edit
get
that, or is that
anything.
actual real time? I thought you were
No,
like
it was-
a rapper, like moving the record back and forth.
It was shortened up. I didn't do it personally.
Yeah.
It was in there that way. But for the sake of condensing things, I think they cut out some of the awkward silences there. I don't think they were that rapid fire hitting LaFleur with it's like he was on the stand with a cross-examination there. But it kind of felt that way a little
Like,
bit.
wait, is this like the Green Bay press corps or the White House?
Yeah,
Jeez.
right. They were getting after him
He
pretty
was
good.
pulling a little Belichick
Yeah.
there by
Oh, yeah.
Matt LaFleur on to Cincinnati.
I'm a little confused. Is he limited?
Very limited.
Oh, okay.
That's all we're getting.
Yeah. Is he LaFleur playing games with the Titans? Is that what's going
I
on?
guess
here?
it's amazing.
So that
Week
means he'll be
3,
out there.
Packers, Titans, and we've got the mind games going on here on a Wednesday now, Thursday. Gotta love it.
I do feel like
Apparently
the
so.
limited thing's annoying because like there are limited guys where it's like, oh, they did some things with the team. And there's some like because Jamar Chase was limited, but then he was doing some things with the team. But there's other guys where they're just on a stationary bike. It's like that's not really practice.
Yep. And especially this time of year where the portion of practice that's open to the media is like stretching and warm-ups, individual drills, maybe a special teams period, and that's it. So you don't even get a good feel for what they're participating in, which is why these guys get asked the questions. When it comes to a quarterback who's dealing with an injury, these guys are less than forthcoming to begin with. Now you mix in a quarterback who's banged up, and it's going to be even more the case, which is what you heard there from LaFleur.
What's the team that's in trouble for lying early in the season?
The Niners?
The Bears?
Well,
No,
the
it was
Niners
the
with the
Niners.
McCaffrey,
With McCaffrey.
and
Jordan
the
Mason.
kid
Oh.
running back.
Remember,
Yeah.
Jordan Mason was like, I knew I was starting on Friday. And it was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, and now I like also we talked about college now has to do the same kind of transparency thing. I mean, the billions of dollars on gambling kind of make at a certain point. The coaches must hate this because I'm sure they're so used to lying about injuries.
Well, so how does hockey get away with this? You can bet on hockey, and you can
Yeah.
say lower body, so it could be your ankle, it could be your foot, could be your knee, could be your...
The league hasn't put in stipulations on being specific.
No, but FanDuel and DraftKings should, and
Yeah.
everyone else.
Somebody just saw this yesterday. I think Jason Robertson for the Dallas Stars had some sort of significant surgery over the summer, and it like just came out yesterday as you're getting ready for it. Was like weeks and weeks where there was nothing at all.
Yeah, does it affect your over-under, your win totals for the
Yeah.
season, all of that stuff?
Happened with the Islanders as well. Their goalie had back surgery. Patrick Waugh is the coach now, and he accidentally revealed that to the media the other day.
Well,
and
what
the
about-
team was not, the organization was not happy about it.
Tyreek Hill's like, I just got knee surgery. Everyone's like, you just got what?
Oh, yeah, to the cop.
Right, yeah.
He's like, he's having knee surgery. And all of us, like, half of it was like, wow, that's police brutality. And the other half were like, wait a minute, he's got knee surgery?
Yeah. And by the way, it kind of looks like he had knee surgery. He's kind of on and off. No, I mean, the story is not about Tyreek Hill.
No, I knew what you meant.
But it's definitely about Tyreek Hill's knee because I had a fantasy draft if it was a little too late.
Yeah, I think we all probably felt that way, right? All right, we know the Panthers bench Bryce Young after a couple lousy games, immediately led to trade speculation in some places. So first-year head coach Dave Canales shooting that down right away yesterday.
Yeah, it's not something we're really considering. We have a great situation with our quarterbacks right now with guys that have experience. So we love where we're at, and we're all hands on deck. We're focused on playing the Raiders this week.
With the veteran Andy Dalton at quarterback, see if he can turn things around for that Carolina offense. Week 3 begins tonight. You got the home opener for the Jets as they face the division rival Patriots, with both teams at 1-1. So first chance for Aaron Rodgers to play on that MetLife Stadium field turf since he tore the Achilles in last September's Monday night opener against the Bills. This comes from my buddy Dennis Wasak from the Associated Press, who's covered the Jets forever. He noted yesterday that in the first 3 weeks of the season, Aaron Rodgers has used the following words while speaking to reporters: bolero, perfunctory. I don't even know what this is. Bucolic, is that a word?
Bucolic means like farm, pastoral. Right?
Very good. And this week was boondoggle. And here's how he used it, talking about the offensive focus tonight, that they need to eliminate slow starts. It would be a boondoggle to keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. So, look, we know Aaron's a different cat, but this almost feels like one of those things where someone challenges him
to
slip
get this
in a word in the press conference each week. So I'm wondering if that's what's going on here.
I think 100% that's happening. Bolero, I had no idea what that was. We learned it was a dance, like a Cuban jazz type of erotic kind of dance.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The movie was erotic.
It's also a form of music, I think, right?
Yeah.
Bolero?
But anyway, so some people here thought it was a car and looked up and said, a Bolero. It turns out it's a very popular car in southern India or something.
You can only buy with rupees, and I was like, that's weird.
Oh, man.
Looks like a sturdy vehicle, though.
I don't want to be an elitist here, but I don't know if bucolic is such an SAT word. I feel like you should have known that one.
I have no idea what that means.
I'm not going to take it personally or be offended.
EJ,
You're probably right.
None.
Bucolic?
Bucolic.
I've never heard of that
Don't know
one before.
bucolic.
You grew up in New York City. Why would
Ryan,
you know bucolic?
You don't know bucolic either?
No idea.
Like a bucolic setting?
No.
Listen, I think CeeLo is
League.
right. Yeah, I know, Pearl. I think CeeLo is right. I think someone is challenging him, and they're picking out words from the dictionary or something, and he's weaving it in. Because Bolero that was such a stretch.
Or knowing Rodgers, he's just challenging himself.
I think
he's bored. It's like, what's my word of the week? Okay, we're going to slide that one in there. Yeah.
Someone should ask
him. Didn't know it. I'll admit, even though I work in the communications field, my math score was better than my verbal score.
Boondoggle, you know.
So, boondoggle, yes, but not commonly used in a quarterback's press conference, which I thought was kind of cool. So good for him.
Is this all during the week? Should we watch out post game for some sound tonight?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
This boondoggle was, I guess, when did he speak? Tuesday, I guess it would have been. So, yeah, you never know.
Boondoggle of a season if they don't win tonight.
I assume we'll get in this game. Is this going to be the ugliest game in the history of the NFL tonight? Is this
quite possible.
Literally going to be the worst game played all season?
I mean, the Jets' travel schedule
the Jets have played,
has been rough.
Jets, what is this, third game in 10 days?
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco Monday nighter, fly home, basically lose a day. So essentially short week, road game at Tennessee against a tough defense, and it was a bit of a struggle there. Come back home. At least they're at home, but you're a home opener on short week and third game in 10 days. Yeah.
The team there will not throw the ball more than 4 yards tonight. It's going to be slow.
A lot of handing off.
Yes.
What's the over-under on this game? I saw the spread is 6. So the Jets are favored by 6. The over-under 38.5. Yeah, that's low for an NFL game.
Everybody's
feels
hurt.
Kind of high.
I mean, CJ,
you think so? Or like,
I would
the
go
under.
Well, CJ Mosley questionable for the Jets. So
yeah, they're banged up too.
And the Patriots are banged up. This is like Thursday Night Football. We haven't criticized that in a while. I think we're going to walk away from tonight's game and be like, oh, is this product up to snuff?
Well, I want to do maybe a Ramondre Stevenson prop, because if the Jets can't stop the run, which they look like they can't do, they couldn't at least on the opener.
Yeah,
last week
it was a little better last week. Not great still. Yeah. Like they gave up yards, but then they kind of bunkered down in the red zone there a little bit.
Let's see, rush yards over under Stevenson 65.5.
The Patriots might be missing 3 O-line.
Yeah, what's that?
The Patriots might be missing 3 O-linemen.
Yeah, I know.
Starters.
there.
So-
And I think another one is hurt too. Like there, but
All right, never mind.
and also Javon Bentley's out. Like
we
the
all could
Jets
suit
are
up
going to run.
tonight.
The Patriots are injured too. The Jets are going to try and run a ball every play too.
We're next up on the depth chart. All of us sitting here right now. For both
Can't we
teams.
get two different teams? I'm sorry. Rodgers will be somewhat
This
interesting.
What do you
I
want
don't-
last week?
I
Where
don't
everyone
think
thought the
so.
game was going to be great, and Tua ends up getting a concussion, and it was a disaster
I
anyway.
don't know. Give me something here.
Back-to-back AFC East matchups on Thursday night.
I know. Don't do that to America. Maggie's range anxiety in the chat says bucolic sounds like a skin disorder. It does sound like something that could be cured, like on a commercial. That also side effects include diarrhea, nausea,
Right.
double vision.
And what is it now again?
It's like a pastoral, right? Like bucolic.
I
The
could just look
country.
it up.
The country. Like farms.
Okay.
I get this word of the day.
I wouldn't have landed on
email every day. I don't know if anybody else. I get the word of the day, and they're way harder than bucolic. They're words nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah, because they're always ones from like medieval London or England. It's like, oh, I'm never going to use that in a sentence.
I love it. Perloff's not impressed with
All right, the
Rodgers'
word of the
words.
day today.
There's-
The word daily, de rigueur.
Say that again.
De
now?
rigueur.
De rigueur. I kind of heard that. I don't know what it means. Of the times.
Yeah.
Here's accutance, which means the sharpness of photographic or printed image.
See, I've heard
Accutane
that
sounds like something
word.
that clears up your skin acne.
Oh, there we go.
There's
There's
one.
skin disorder. It's just-
Everything's a skin disorder.
Firstling, the first agricultural produce of the season. These are hard words. Like, I don't know. Bucolic. Exonym. Do you know what that means,
You know
Meg?
what we should do? We
Yeah.
should get one of these word of the day things, maybe not
Yeah.
Perloffs, and see if Rodgers is just ticking them off one by
Right.
one.
He's got a calendar in his locker.
That's good.
Tear away.
like
Bought it in the mall.
instead of the Dilbert calendar or something,
Right,
it's word of the day.
Viridescent. Does anyone know what viridescent is?
See, I didn't know what bucolic meant. You think I'm going to know these words? Come on now.
It means greenish.
Greenish. That would work for the Jets.
That is
Rodgers should work that one
yes.
in.
Yeah, he should.
Gang green.
We should.
What is
can
it
anyone
again?
contact Rodgers and
What's
give him
that
a
one?
Viridescent.
Gang
green.
viridescent. There you
I don't
go.
know. You were trashing our tarot card reader before. Who do you think's closer is going to get to Rodgers sooner? Someone like
I
a tarot
wasn't-
card reader or one of us? Probably the tarot card reader. I bet he's into that stuff. Anyway.
All right, quick baseball for you. Cool scene in Milwaukee, which kicked off with this.
And Stebbins is running and delivers. Swinging and a rocket to right. Base hit. They win. Jake Bowers hit an absolute bullet. Past Harper at first.
That, of course, is the legend Bob Uecker on Brewers Radio as they beat the Phillies 2-1 to clinch the NL Central title for the third time in 4 years. But this one certainly more unexpected after trading Corbin Burns to the Orioles in the offseason and losing manager Craig Counsell to the Cubs. The guy who took over for him, Pat Murphy, knew the deal.
No one in spring training would have said the Brewers will win the NL Central, except maybe a few guys in that room. And it just talks to one thing. This is a game about people.
And with that in mind, the Brewers held off their clubhouse celebration until Uecker was able to make it down from the radio booth to join in on the fun.
Love it.
He got a little bit of a toast there from Murphy in the clubhouse, which is cool. And they captured the other end of the spectrum as well, had the non-alcoholic beer and non-alcoholic champagne ready for the 20-year-old rookie Jackson Chourio, plus a baby carriage for him at his locker stall. Obviously not quite yet able to partake, but was a big part of helping them capture the division title this season. And the Yankees locked up the postseason berth, beat the Mariners in 10 innings last night in Seattle 2-1. They've got a 5-game lead atop the AL East as well with 10 games remaining. The Mariners helped them out in that one. I don't know if you saw the clip. Bottom of the 10th, first and third, nobody out. Randy Arozarena strikes out, loses his bat on the follow-through, flies out of his hands. Julio Rodriguez at third's got to duck it and get out of the way, which he did. But then he just trotted off towards the dugout as if, like it was a foul ball. Live ball. Yankees throw down a third, easy tag, double play, and it neutralized the threat.
So he didn't try hard enough to get back to third in time.
Yeah, no.
But he would have gotten hit in the head.
Oh,
with
yeah,
a
the
flying
dodging
bat.
it, sure. But it was just like he lost awareness then of, well, wait, this is a live play here.
I know. I felt like there should be something where, like, if you almost get clocked in the coconut with the bat, maybe you get a little grace period to get your wits about you and get back to third.
Kind of sums up the year for Seattle's offense. It's been, and for him specifically, he's had a rough year. So, or it was a slow start before he really got going, and they just don't score runs, that team. They pitch great. They're still in the wild card race technically, but they don't score enough. And they only scored one last night in 10 innings and kind of shot themselves in the foot in the rally there in the 10th.
I was in elementary school last time they won a playoff series.
I just think if a flying bat's coming at your head, maybe you get a second. I don't know. Maybe that's me.
Like it's an instant, like, hey, dead
It's
ball.
a timeout.
That's it.
Like,
Yeah.
dude
Tough
almost
spot.
got a concussion.
Tough spot. That's fair.
CeeLo, thank you so much. It actually is Perloff's favorite time of year. He doesn't know this yet. Not week 3, not anything has to do with that. I'll explain what Perloff loves about specifically the next couple weeks. Do that next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. A lot of football to get to, but first, I would like bringing this up because it's something that really gets under Perloff's skin. And I know you hate this, and it's funny because you hate it and I love it. And that is baseball teams celebrating with the beer and the champagne in the clubhouse after every little thing that they win.
You love it? What do you love about that?
So you clinch a playoff spot, great. You clinch the division, great. You clinch a wild card, awesome. Then you celebrate after the wild card round, then the DS, then the CS, obviously the World Series. I'm all about more celebrations. More is more, as Jim Harbaugh
But
likes
if you
to say.
were a coach or you were a player, would you celebrate a wild card round win?
Yeah, it's like
my God, would you be so terrified of jinxing yourself?
No, because everybody does it. It's not like I'm out there touching the Stanley Cup. You know, everybody does this thing. So we all have acknowledged there's no jinx attached to this. It's not like, you know, when basketball teams win a opening round, playoff series, like, hey, act like you've been there before. I kind of like that baseball, which is notoriously so buttoned up and for so long was not fun and you couldn't do anything because the quote-unquote unwritten rules meant you were trying to be a show-off. I like that they let their hair down a little bit. It's hard to make the playoffs in baseball. It's a long season.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting easier and easier.
Well, there's more teams, sure, but...
Yeah, I just think that I understand what you're saying, but football, it feels like, say it's a divisional round and you win, like there's no way there's going to be, they might dance and play music in the locker room, but there's no way there's going to be beer because everyone's like, there's a bigger task ahead. It's all about the championship. And baseball, it's like, God, we have no idea who's going to get out of this postseason because it's the most random sport in the history of the world.
Might as well celebrate. All of this is such a wild crapshoot. Might as well celebrate every step of the way. I wish more sports had more celebrations.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this, once again, like, I think baseball is actually hurt by the randomness of the postseason. Like, I feel like it's not like football. Like, man, we got a narrative. We got the Chiefs playing well. We got the Niners coming up in the NFC. Baseball is like, I wonder if the Diamondbacks are going to get through again. Like, I just think that, I don't know. I'm not hearing a lot of hype about the playoffs. And I wonder if this, like, the fact that, like, it's a wild card round. They're going to put champagne on themselves. Like, they don't even care. I don't know. There's just something missing. Am I crazy here? Like, I bet you the ratings are going to stink for this postseason.
Well, but the thing is, don't forget about, I know they changed the wild card from just a one-game winner take off to the best of three. But, I mean, all of a sudden the stakes couldn't be higher. You know, you have these elimination games. I think that's what gets casual people to, casual fans to tune in.
But it doesn't.
We'll see. The Yankees are back in the playoffs this year. We'll see what happens with the Dodgers, the Yankees didn't make the playoffs last year. I think whether you love them or hate them, I do think that the Yankees do drive a bit of an audience. With Aaron Judge and Juan Soto in the same lineup, I think there's something to that. Stars in New York.
Haven't they been making the playoffs most of the last 10 years?
Yeah, they've made, I think, the last 5 years before that. But, that was this, you have Judge who was coming off this amazing season. Then the next year, you don't make the playoffs. That's kind of a bit of a womp-womp. Sad trombone.
Yeah, I know. I just think like there's something right now about the playoffs that doesn't feel like the NFL playoffs to me feel just heavier. And I think it's like part of this.
Because it's one game.
Yeah. It's right. I think that's what it is probably.
I kind of don't like that the wild card is now best 2 out of 3. I sort of like the one game, like, so much tension, even though it's been particularly brutal for the team I happen to root for. Yeah, Ryan, you seem like you want to say something about this.
I think that the wild card itself is good now just because it brings more attention to younger stars. When there was the one game, it was like, okay, cool. But now there's more teams that are top heavy that can be upset.
Right.
And that's the better part about the playoffs now.
Yeah, but the thing is, the Yankees won how many straight World Series with Yogi Berra and stuff because they didn't have to go through the wild card. Now the problem is you're cannibalizing the good teams. Like,
Yogi Berra.
well, Yogi won. I think he's the winningest player, right?
Well, he is, but we're going all the way back then.
I'm just saying because they had no playoffs. There were no other teams. Like you were there and you were in the World Series. That was a better system for stars. Now the Yankees could be this great team with Aaron Judge and everything. You have to win all these series, so you're getting this hodgepodge of teams winning. Like the Nationals in 2019. So I do think like you're not creating dynasties. You're just having a very chaotic postseason.
Yeah, but who did the Nationals beat? The Houston Astros. And the Astros had been sort of like a mini dynasty. So just because they happened to win doesn't mean the Astros weren't doing their part. They became a juggernaut, and they were there year after year after year.
Well, true. I just think all these rounds and all these teams make it much more unpredictable, which could be good, too. Maybe people like parity in the postseason.
Let's go to Will. He's in California. Good morning, Will.
Well, good morning. How you guys doing?
We're awesome. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I meant to weigh in on this Bolero thing last week, but you weren't taking calls at the time. And I think you were kind of dancing around why he would bring up that word. But I just wanted to offer another perspective, and I'll try to move this quick. Okay. Ravel, a French composer, wrote that song in the 1920s. It was a huge hit, okay? Move forward, okay? In the late 1970s, there was a movie, a huge comedy hit starring Dudley Moore, and Bo Derek was in the movie. It was called 10, okay? Well, there's a point in the movie. It's a funny movie. Julie Andrews is in it. But toward the end of the movie, he ends up in the bedroom with her. And her thing, when she's, doing it, is she likes to put the song Bolero on, okay?
Doing what, Will?
She put the song Bolero on the record player, okay, in this movie, all right? And if you know the song or if you've ever heard it, it starts off very tentative, very slow, and it builds to a tremendous crescendo. It's kind of like the Stairway to Heaven of classical songs, okay? I'm just saying it starts slow, and it builds up.
I think climax is the word you're looking for.
That's, no pun intended here.
We're all thinking it.
You're thinking, yeah, I get it. Bo Derek's husband had a really lousy movie with her starring in it called Bolero also, but it was a terrible movie. But the song was known from the movie 10. It's a funny movie, too. Yeah. Now, real quick, you move on through the history of time. Ice dancing became an Olympic sport sometime in the early 90s. I'm not sure which Olympics, okay? But there was a pair.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
That won the gold. They were called Torval and Dean from England, okay? And the song that they performed, their final song, was Bolero, okay?
Will, what are you reading off of Wikipedia? How do you have all this right at your fingertips?
I'm dating myself. I'm a little bit older than you guys, okay? And I knew the song, okay? And I knew the movie. And then you mentioned, John Derek was married to her as well as Linda Evans, and also a Bond girl by the name of Ursula Andress, okay? One of the early Bond movies. She was the one that came out of the water with the knife and the scabbard, But anyway, you had mentioned, the best and everything. And it was kind of like you were dancing around this thing. But the whole time I was thinking this, the whole connection, and it ended with the ice dancing, pair that won the gold medal from Britain.
I have an important question. Do you know what bucolic means?
I have no idea.
Whoa, that's an upset.
You don't know what like a bucolic setting, like the woods,
the countryside? No. Will,
I don't have my Wikipedia on right now. Pardon me, Maggie?
Will, thank you for that. We're up against the break.
we only have a 4-hour show, so
we're up against some break.
We're up against the end of the show.
Okay.
The ice dancing I didn't see coming.
Ursula Andress reference I did not see coming.
Yeah, we did look up the movie, and then I had to scrub my search history because it's Bo Derek's like naked and the whole trailer. So they're really trying to sell that thing. And I believe Manny Rodriguez was in that day, and I think he watched the movie throughout the rest of the show on his phone.
Oh, jeez.
I think he had a Netflix account he could just log into.
Hope it wasn't on the Wi-Fi. The company Wi-Fi, that wouldn't go good for him.
Yeah, listen, I think Rodgers is playing a little games with us.
I think CeeLo nailed it.
He did.
He's playing a game.
He's planting different words in his press conferences to see if he can use them in a sentence, and I think Bolero is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Take it no more, just a small town girl. She slams the door, the lights go down and the music starts to play. But Maggie's had enough, she's screaming no way. Sick of the journey and tired of the song. The midnight train, it's been rolling too long. But while she's out here hating on the tune, Peter Bellatti's the one who's gone too soon. Don't stop believing, Pete's not showing up. Hold on to that feeling, yeah, that's not enough. People want, but Peter don't care. He's missing again and there's no one there. Maggie's in the break room, hearing that refrain. Strangers waiting, but Pete's missed his train. She's working hard to get her fill, but Pete's just living life at a standstill. She's searching in the night for Bellatti's excuse, but all she finds is another lame ruse. That midnight train ain't bringing him in. He's just like that song, one way too thin. Don't stop believing, but Pete's still in my head. Hold on to that feeling, he's out for the day. Working 9 to 5, nah, Pete's long gone. Like a street light, people, he drifts until dawn. Some will lose, we've heard it all before. But Peter's never showing up, he's out the door. The movie never ends, and neither does the wait. Maggie's stuck with Journey, but Pete's absentee fate. Don't stop believing, yeah, we're all fed up. Hold on to that feeling, but Pete won't show up. Street life people, they're out there grinding, but Peter Bellotti, still no sign of him. So long, Maggie can't stand that song on repeat. The real problem's Pete, who just can't take a seat. Don't stop believing, or maybe just do, 'cause Peter Bellotti, he's ghosting the crew.
Seconds.
I know that.
Is this the first time you've ever sung?
Sweet Caroline.
Bum, bum, bum. We need to help him out here.
Time never seemed so good.
So good! So good! So good!
I've been inclined bum, 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 to believe
Now you feel it.
they never would.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Gotta be a little soul searching going on around Dallas. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. You get boat race like that against the New Orleans Saints, clearly there's going to be some lingering questions, Pearl, because this is a team that, the owner said all in. We know that's kind of BS, but they did end up paying Dak Prescott. They did end up paying CeeDee Lamb. Micah Parsons is up for a big contract. Your coach is in a lame duck year. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for there to be pressure on this team outside of just, hey, they're the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to worry a little bit about all the guys who got paid. Like CeeDee Lamb got paid, and now he's out missing practice on a Wednesday with an ankle injury that he says is no big deal. Then why aren't you practicing if it's no big deal? So, and then Dak Prescott gets $60 million a year and didn't really look inspired last week against New Orleans. He played okay, I guess. As always, he put up big numbers in a blowout loss, which is a big Dak thing. But here's the thing. What is the main flaw with them? They cannot stop the run.
Yeah.
That was last year we saw Green Bay gash them in the playoffs. Could not do that last week against New Orleans. I'm going to have a little faith in Mike Zimmer, the new defensive coordinator, that he's got to look at what happened last week against New Orleans and adjust. At a certain point, they have to do something so they don't let up 200 yards of rushing.
Okay, well, this might be the worst team to be facing then, which is a desperate Ravens team that's 0-2.
I know.
That just blew a 10-point third-quarter lead to the Raiders at home. And what can the Ravens be really good at doing? Running the ball. I mean, between Derrick Henry and if Lamar actually wants to start running, which he did not do against the Raiders, then this is going to be a problem. And I think that the Ravens, this is probably got to be as desperate as I've ever seen them.
Yeah. But you were loading the box like you've never loaded the box against this team. You're saying Lamar beat me with your arm.
Okay, but he might be able to. I don't know if I want to dare him to do that. I know that's always been the knock on Lamar, but that's usually the postseason knock on him. In the regular season, he is able to find his guys. Zay Flowers is a good receiver. Mark Andrews is a good receiver.
I have a theory on this offense. I think he is much more effective later in the season. I feel like they need some time to get all those pieces moving. That's what happened last year. Like he was a much better passer in the second half. And I don't think the receivers are great. Zay Flowers is good. He's the nifty little slot guy.
He was wide open on a couple plays. Yeah. I mean, how they lost to the Raiders was really about basically a terrible holding penalty, or maybe it was a neutral zone infraction. I forgot what it was that would have stopped a drive for the Raiders that ended up putting them basically on the goal line, and they punched it in. And then all of a sudden it was like, what's going on? And also, if Justin Tucker can't hit 50-yarders anymore, it's actually kind of a big deal because that was always one of the great secret weapons for the Ravens. But if he misses those, you're just giving your opponent this great field position. And that's another thing that happened with the Raiders. Tucker misses a 50-yarder. They get the ball back with good field position. They went down and scored.
All that being said, if I'm Dallas, you're going to beat me over the top. I'm not going to because if you let Derrick Henry go, you get him going.
I know.
If you get him 25 carries, you're in trouble. Also, too, I mean, remember the Ravens played the Texans last year. They chose not to spy on Lamar. That's death. This is a must-win game for the Cowboys, too. Their schedule is pretty tough. Like, they can't give away home games. So, I'm definitely saying, fine, beat us with a pass if you want, but we can't. What happened last week cannot happen again.
So next week is at the New York Giants. So maybe that one's not your tough one, but I get what you're talking about. At Pittsburgh, Detroit, at San Francisco, at Atlanta, no longer looks like maybe not going to be easy at all. Their defense is good. Philadelphia, Houston, it's a lot. Here is Micah Parsons on why this is a prove-it week for the Cowboys.
To me, it's like a prove-it weekend, and I'm not just, I'm not putting anything on any of my teammates. I'm saying myself included. Like, I need to step up. We all need to step up. Like this, like it would hurt me more if we all didn't step up. We all played down to that standard again, because that just tells me we're not moving in the direction that we should be moving.
I mean, he's right. I guess the thing is what is Micah Parsons supposed to do when a team has a 2-touchdown lead on you and can just, run the ball right at him? He's not as effective. And if you don't have your, if he's not looking at a lot of third and longs on must-pass situations, it's just a little bit different. I know he's super disruptive. It's not like he's just one-trick pony. But to be honest, like, this is what happens. When you get a lead on the Cowboys, you can basically just say goodnight.
Yeah, but why they get a lead? Because nobody wanted to tackle anybody. Well, actually, there was one long pass from Derek Carr, but then generally, like, they just stopped tackling. But think of that Alvin Kamara touchdown where he ran into the pile and somehow escaped out. Like, somebody just grabbed that guy and tear him to the ground. They're just not tough right now. I mean, Mike Zimmer must be infuriated by last week's effort. We kind of blame Dan Quinn, who's now the Commanders head coach. Yeah, I think they need to toughen up on defense. But that being said, Maggie.
Yeah.
I don't know that you need more than 10 wins to win this division this year.
Well, let's talk about the NFC
Yeah.
East.
The Cowboys don't need their third straight 12-5 year to make the playoffs.
Okay, well, I know you're very down on the Eagles right now because of how they lost on Monday night against the Falcons. Things have been brewing. If you want to say the vibes are off, I think that'd be fair. And Nick Sirianni could be on the hot seat. Philly is still favored to win this division, though.
Narrowly.
Narrowly. Is that right to you? That is not right to you.
No. I would pick Dallas. I think, listen, the final score was 22-21, Atlanta. But everybody who watches the Eagles can see that it's a team that has no interest in tackling. Their defense was so bad at the end of last year, the worst in the league, literally the worst in the league the last 6 weeks. I don't think it's that much better with Vic Fangio, defensive coordinator. You saw he basically, I think he was taking a nap in the end of the fourth quarter. I think they have so many flaws on defense. There's just no way that they can be a double-digit win team. I'd be shocked if they were.
Okay, but I've got Dallas coming off a 44-19 loss at home.
Not ideal either. That's why I'm saying they're the new NFC South. Somebody's going to win this division. Somebody's going to win this division.
One team coming out of this division.
It's not going to be the New York Giants. It's not going to be the Washington Commanders. That leaves Philly and Dallas. It's almost like flip a coin. They're both flawed in very similar ways. But I just think that Dallas will beat Philly. I think Dak is going to tear the Eagles apart. I think he's going to throw for 400 yards in both games against them. I'm telling you, I watched that secondary. They are very, very flawed. And the pass rush is non-existent in Philly. At least there are game scripts where if Micah Parsons gets a lead, as you just mentioned, Dallas can come after you. The Eagles really have mismanaged their defensive roster. They have no chance.
You should bet the Cowboys then. Make a little money off that.
It's
Cowboys to win the division.
Plus 130.
Okay, but that's better than minus 130 if you're trying to look for value.
Yeah, I would definitely bet that. I feel good about that one. Do you feel good? Minus 130 on the Eagles? Why would anyone bet on that? Except that the Cowboys do have a tricky little schedule there because they do have that first place schedule. They got the Niners, who I assume will be a little healthier at some point. I think
also history would tell you they're going to have a lot of trouble. They can't beat San Francisco.
Right. But we'll see. Can the Eagles split with them? Remember last year, Nick Sirianni's lost 7 out of his last 9 games. The trend is not good in Philly.
855-212-4227. I don't know, but I picked Dallas to miss the playoffs this year. Now, I don't feel great about the Eagles winning the division pick that I had. I thought they would try to turn things around a little bit, but I don't know. I think this ends up becoming the NFC least again. And this is your 9-8 team that makes the playoffs. EJ, you're disgusted.
Yeah, I think we're getting too prisoner of the moment. I know Perloff's an Eagles fan, so I know we have some care about the Eagles on this show. But, they won in Brazil, where Saquon Barkley looked great, and they played a game against a decent team without A.J. Brown, who we know is like the most important player on the...
He's going to be gone for a couple of weeks.
Though. Yeah, he's going to be gone a couple of weeks. I think he'll be fine in 2-3 weeks. I think the panic from the Eagles side is a little overblown. This was not a game against Atlanta where they just were so terrible for 60 minutes and they couldn't get out of their own way. They should have won the game.
What about panic from the Dallas side of things, especially if you lose this game at home to the Ravens?
I think that panic's also a little pump the brakes, okay? The Saints look like a team that's going to score a lot of points, and if you give up some big plays, it's going to happen. You're going to get blown out sometimes. It's week 2. It's week 2. Everybody chill. I think this is still going to be a good division. I have the Eagles winning this division, but I think it's going to be close. I think both of these teams will be fine because at the end of the day, they're still more talented than most of the other teams in the NFC. I look at the Eagles roster, look at the Cowboys roster. They just have more talent than all the teams not named Detroit and San Francisco.
Well, explain what happened to the Eagles last year because it's a similar roster.
It's a similar roster, but I think a lot of last year was the internal strife. It was teams coming back from losing in the Super Bowl, and that's just not an Eagles thing. That's just an NFL thing. You lose the Super Bowl, you're good night. You're not making the Super Bowl.
But they got off to a
10-1
start.
Yeah, but it's just history. History shows that
I get it.
You're going to find a banana peel for whatever reason. Injury, you're too sad you lost, whatever the situation is. You're going to find that banana peel. I think with the Eagles, they're a year removed from that. It was a bad loss on Monday night, no question. But I mean, come on. This is the city of Rocky. They're going to get up off the mat. Like, what are we doing? Like, get the Eagles a little bit of a chance.
Well, I mean, the Eagles have one superpower, and that is Jalen Hurts running the football, and it's great, and it was the only reason they were leading that game. But he's not going to last 18 games if he carries the ball 13 times a game. So, like, if that's all you got, that's the only way to save Nick Sirianni's job is Jalen Hurts run for his life every play. It's not going to last.
Wait, what's the Cowboys' superpower?
The Cowboys is probably Micah Parsons killing your quarterback.
Okay. I mean,
wait,
again,
what were you saying?
I don't think they have one. Dak's a good regular season quarterback, no doubt about it.
Well,
but
you saw
what's the superpower? The linebacker core that we're expecting to be a lot better?
When DeMarion Overshawn actually got the speed of light chasing down Deshaun Watson in week 1. If they
a lot of good it did.
Yeah,
they gave up 44 points.
Dallas' superpower should be splash plays defensively, right? You think of Duron Lamb interception. I know he's hurt. You think of the year before Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah.
You think of Micah Parsons over 10. Like, that's, to me, their superpower. It's if you get into a fist fight with them, though, it's kind of like a boxer. If you kind of play close or whatever, it's harder for them to make those big plays. That's their superpower. They did it in week 1. I mean, Deshaun Watson just looked completely shook as soon as he stepped on the field against that Cowboys defense. But the thing is, if you can turn that against them, make some big plays, then their defense is questionable.
Exactly. So I don't know if it's that much of a superpower. If your defense, if you're the superpower, should be able to at some point stop the bleeding before things get out of hand and be able to turn the momentum. And I don't see that when they get down by 10 points. I'm not even talking about the 3 touchdowns and now we're just emptying benches and stuff. 855-212-4227.
They do have, but you have to remember one thing about both these teams, specifically Dallas. They own the Giants. So that's probably 2 wins, and they're going to probably beat the rookie quarterback and the Commanders.
Sure.
So they're going to feed off the bottom. I mean, listen, Dak is going to have MVP numbers again because he's going to throw for 10 touchdowns in 2 games against the Giants. That's the other thing. Dak's ability against bad teams is a bit of a superpower.
855-212-4227. So there you go. Who do you trust more here? Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles. This division is turning out maybe to be a doozy, or do you believe like EJ, Perloff and I just being a little prisoner of the moment, teams getting off to a tough start?
Yeah, I know. We're ready to put 3 NFC South teams into the playoffs.
And I know. That one might come back to bite us, but not yet. Okay, got a lot more for you today, including the one question that I need answered by everyone on the show and everyone in the audience. Do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
So peaceful and fair, Bolero's playing, the wind in the air. Derek's running on a beat so free. When where's Peter Bellotti? He's nowhere to be. Oh Pete, you're never at your desk, like a ghost in the office. What a lovely mess. Bolero's in the background, but we all agree. The ref Peter Bellotti, he's nowhere to be. Means serene and pure, but when waiting for Pete, man, that's hard to endure. But Derek shows up, but not our boy Pete. He's out there somewhere taking naps on repeat. Oh Pete, where could you be? Are you lost in the fields, so wild and free? Valero's playing, but let's not pretend. Balali's absence will never end. Both Derek and Valero both show up on cue. But Peter Bellotti, well, that's nothing new. You can count on the sun, the wind and the breeze. But Pete at work, now that's just a tease. Follow Pete, oh Pete, will you ever show? Oh, you lost in the fields, so bucolic meadow. Valero's fading, the day's almost through. But Bellotti, my friend, we're still waiting for you. Valero both show up on cue, but Peter Bellotti, well, that's nothing new. You can count on the sun, the wind and the breeze. But Peter run, now that's just a tease. Final Pete, oh Pete, will you ever show? Are you stuck in some bucolic meadow? Valero's fading, the day's almost through. But Bellotti, my friend, we're still waiting for you. Oh Pete, oh Pete, we're still waiting for you.
Oh, Pete. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, the Dependable Player of the Week is sponsored by Depend and the Prostate Cancer Foundation, reminding you that health is a long game and screening for prostate cancer is easier than ever. Learn more at Depend.com. Dependable Player of the Week is chosen by EJ Stewart, who we love having back in the studio this week after his long rehab from a knee injury.
A tragic kickball accident.
Yes.
Wiped out the summer.
Yes, and you are now dependably limping around the office, which is, but you look, you're starting to get a little quicker already a few days in. Not exactly fast.
It's fast twitch.
So, and the Dependable Player of the Week, last week's football games are in play, but I think you're going off football. I think you're going baseball.
Ooh, okay.
I think you can depend on Shohei Ohtani chasing down records and either stealing bases or hitting home runs. That is my choice. No. But I have a football choice too if that doesn't work.
If EJ's doing anyone in terms of dependable, it's going to be Joey Church's. It's going to be someone from his New York Mets who has been very, very clutch as of late. I think that you went with TJ Watt.
No. If we're doing football, I think you went with Maserati Marvin Harrison Jr.
Can he be dependable, though? It's one game. TJ Watt's been doing this for a whole career. He's the reason why the Steelers are 2-0. It's not the offense.
I'm going to give you guys a hint because I want you guys to get this week. Who had it's in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Who had the most chips on the line came through in the clutch moment?
Kirk Cousins.
Go. Oh. Kirk Cousins is the dependable player of the week. Not necessarily the greatest game, but when we use the word dependable, he was dependable when the Falcons needed him to be be most.
So dependable now is boring.
Wait, what's Saquon Barkley in this analogy? He's the leaky guy.
That's pretty good.
That is good.
The word dependable, dependable, Kirk Cousins seem to go hand in hand. I have to be honest. That he fits the mold.
The man who drives a minivan?
He's like I get Shohei and Maserati Marv. Those guys are spectacular. Nobody is like, wow, what a dependable play by Marvin Harrison Jr.
He hasn't done enough to be dependable. We have no idea what he's going to do this week.
Like a possession receiver is dependable, not a long distance receiver. Like Cooper Kupp is dependable.
Well, not really, because he's hurt.
He
too often now.
Okay, there you go. Dependable player of the week, which we do on Thursdays. And we love guessing. Okay, I've got a question everyone in the room has got to answer because I think I know what my answer is, but I want to know what you guys think. So I came across this story. It's about an actor named Emil Hirsch. You may know him.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Whatever happened to that guy?
Oh, yeah.
So apparently he was up for playing John Belushi in a movie.
Okay.
Okay? And it was going to be a John Belushi biopic, and he's going to play John Belushi.
Right.
There was one caveat. He had to gain 100 pounds.
Yeah, of course.
100. Now, I know, like, Raging Bull, Robert De Niro, I think, gained 80 pounds for Raging Bull and ended up being a massive hit for his career. Do you gain 100 pounds? Because you got to lose that weight. Gaining 100 pounds would be hard, and then losing it's going to be even harder. Is that worth it if you're an actor? And the movie might stink. You might not get Raging Bull. You might get something that everyone's on social media saying how much it sucks and you suck and, everything.
What are they paying him?
Yeah. What's he getting paid?
Probably something. But he's already made money. This is not his first role. He's not a starving artist.
Yeah,
he's good.
I feel like 100 for a method actor like Emil Hirsch, like that's nothing. Yeah, I would definitely.
Nothing? 100 pounds?
This dude's 5'7". I bet he weighs normally like $160. That's a lot of weight to gain for someone that's not large to begin with.
So fun. 10 milkshakes a day.
I think it's one of those things that
that's
sounds fun,
man.
and then it's like, oh man, I got to eat another dozen donuts. Like at some point, it becomes a little old.
And here's the other thing:
you're gonna feel like crap,
right? And he's doing this big role. It's a big responsibility to play John Belushi.
But his career is kind of in the toilet. I mean, he kind of needs this.
Here's the only good thing: now with vitamin O, you could take this off a lot easier. But then you got to go on Ozempic, or something like that. But you could get a little boost to take the weight off.
I mean, I've been carrying an extra 25, 30 pretty much since my kids were born, and I feel that. I can't imagine tripling that and then some. My God.
I have an issue with this movie.
We think you look great, too.
Yeah.
I have an issue with this movie. He should not have to do this.
What about a fat suit?
Prosthetics at this point, when it comes to movies, are so great.
Good point.
Like you have Colin Farrell.
He looks like an idiot in those trailers.
The penguin?
Yeah, see that? I think Colin Farrell as a penguin looks terrible, and everyone's
He looks
ripping.
awesome. Get
People
out
are
of
ripping
here. Are
it
you
to
serious?
shreds. Everyone.
No, they're not.
Everyone thought like that last Batman that he was the penguin, and it was like, oh, what is this? Like they're not ripping the penguin.
No,
I feel like
what are you talking? They just
stupid.
launched a new show coming out today.
No, I know, and I feel like the buzz around is like, I don't know about this. I'm hearing a lot of that.
I don't know who you're talking about. That
You guys
movie
are
was
different echo
very
chambers.
popular,
You don't
and they
think that
really
that
liked
last
Colin
movie
Farrell.
was so bad, and also his character was bad in that last movie? The Robert
is a
Pattinson one?
horrible take.
Oh my gosh! See, this is why I'm glad I'm
What
back
do you
in
think
the
the Rotten
studio.
Tomatoes on the last Batman was? It's probably the
88,
lowest
89?
Batman there was.
What was the name of it?
The Batman.
The Batman?
I'm
Tell
with
you right now.
CeeLo. First, what was the name of the movie? I clearly haven't seen it.
Two young parents with young kids
85
spoken
on
right
Rotten
there.
Tomatoes.
That's critic, right?
Yeah, critically 85, the audience 87. People really
you
like
go.
the Batman. What are
They
you
like
talking
that
about?
Robert
You're in
Pattinson
the
one?
minority. You're in the minority on that.
Who played Batman in this one?
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I didn't see it either, Maggie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
I'm still on the Michael Keaton.
I think Perloff has pretty good movie takes, and this is maybe the worst one I've heard today. And me and him are aligned on a lot of movies.
Poll
That's why I'm
question.
so stunned.
Did you actually watch it, Perloff?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Oh.
It was. I mean, it took 9.5 hours out of my life.
It is long, 256. Yeah, that's a long
Would you
Batman.
gain 100 pounds for a role? 855-212-4227.
I could use the money. Are they paying well? Sure, no problem.
We have a study for you. See if you can enroll in something like
You know what?
hospitals.
That I might.
So all
Alright.
the Rotten Tomatoes for the Christian Bale ones are in the 90s. Like that one was definitely not as well received, and it wasn't
Batman
quite
Begins.
popular.
Batman Begins in the 90s.
Which one was it? Batman
That's
Begins.
a Christian Bale. That's the first one.
Wasn't it like 02?
Yeah,
03?
05.
05. Oh.
I don't think it is. It's 85.
85,
Just like-
94 from the crowd.
So it's in line with the first Christian Bale Batman movie.
94 from the crowd. Anyway, I don't love fat suits. The one thing I hate more than anything is when they did that thing to Robert De Niro where they made him look younger. That's awful.
Oh, yeah. The CGI.
The CGI.
Yeah.
What's that called? De-aging?
Yeah, I don't like that either. It's
yeah, and I feel like I'm not a fat suit guy. I'd rather see him put on the weight like an old school actor. Like, what are you doing here? If you're not going to put on 100 pounds, like, why are you even... I mean, like,
do you
listen,
even care
Matthew
about
McConaughey
acting?
almost killed himself to do the career-changing role. Like, if you're an actor, you definitely got to sell out and put on the weight.
So
right?
That's the other question. Would you rather have a role where you have to gain 100 pounds or you have to, like, lose 35?
Lose.
I think so, too.
I mean, you come out.
No.
You come out better on the other side of it.
That is incredibly traumatic to lose that weight. Christian Bale.
Traumatic?
Oh, my God. Would you ever see, like, Matthew McConaughey's journey from getting back from that? It took years.
No, but what about putting on 100 pounds? That's not going to exactly be a cakewalk, no pun intended, to take
There's
off.
no trauma there.
No, it's awesome.
No, it's not.
It's not good for your
Come
organs.
on.
Both sides, both ways. It's probably
Listen,
not good.
getting to eat some junk food for a little bit's great, but 100 how long would it take you to gain 100? Look at you. And I mean that as a compliment, by the way.
It would
How
take
long
them
would it
6
take?
months, easy.
You really
More.
think you'd feel better on the other end of that? You'd enjoy that process?
Yeah,
After
but-
2 weeks, you'd be like, oh my God.
Do you know, like, how hard it was for Matthew McConaughey to lose for Dallas Buyers Club and how terrible an experience that was? I mean, he didn't look right for years.
Okay, but how many pounds was that? She said 30, 35. That
thought
might have
so.
been more extreme.
I
Where he was
remember
basically like
do you remember
skin and bones.
Christian Bale and the Machinist? That was terrible.
Oh, it
Yeah,
was
he's
awful.
also
They had
a
to starve
lunatic.
themselves for months.
Yeah, he's not. a
No, for
normal
me,
person.
putting on, I can't believe, like, which is easier to do, put on 100 pounds or lose 50? Like, losing weight sucks.
I don't even think you could do. Forget like physically. I don't think your body could gain 100 pounds. I don't think you're capable.
Well, I'd be up to, I don't know. I think I could.
Come on.
5
You want
milkshakes
to
a day.
strike me as one of these people who's
5
just got
milkshakes a
one of
day.
those built-in metabolisms that's always kicking.
But wait, you guys
Perloff
know what I
also
mean? Like,
exercises a lot.
gaining weight, like, is much easier than losing weight. Losing weight's tough.
I don't disagree with that, but on the back end, I just think when you get to the end of it, especially if you're someone that's carrying a few extra to begin with, it's like, all right, well, I'll put the work in.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid to do this. It's part of my role. And on the back end, I'm in a better position now health-wise.
Well, here's the part, though. You're going to gain all that weight. You have to lose it. You're not just going to walk around with an extra 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Because that's not what your body is naturally doing.
That's going to take you
Well,
a
I
while.
just cut out the 5 milkshakes. McConaughey lost 50 pounds
Yeah, that's
for
a lot.
That's a lot.
Dallas
50 is a
Buyers
lot.
Club. It was really hard.
Major league
I
extreme.
agree with that.
Raphael's in San Diego. Good morning, Raphael.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you guys doing?
We're good. Would you gain 100 pounds for a movie role?
You know, that's like a catch-22.
Yeah.
You know, under the circumstances, you know, if it was something that would I wouldn't say benefit, but it was something that, you know, would call for me to do it. I mean, of course, it's going to be managed. You know, he's probably going to have nutritionists, doctors, you know, just to make sure that all this weight.
No, they just drop
Yeah,
him off
yeah.
at a Golden Corral.
Right?
We'll say we'll pick you up in
but-
2 hours.
Yeah, but if you guys don't know, Emil Hirsch made a movie about, 5, 6, 7 years ago called Into the Wild. I don't know if that rings a bell.
I think it's
More
actually
like
a lot.
15 years
Yeah,
ago.
I think that was a lot
that was
longer
the
ago than you
movie,
think.
yeah. And, you know, he had to lose a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Now, I don't know if you guys saw David Bautista had to gain a lot of weight for the last movie he did. And he said he had to gain a lot of weight. And look, this guy's pretty huge.
Yeah. Wow.
And then looking at it now, he lost a lot of weight. It's like everybody's like, man, I looked at him, I was like, whoa, something happened to this guy.
Yeah,
You
what
know?
happened to that dude? I've asked the same question. Is there an answer to that?
He wanted to cut weight because he didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah. Raphael, thank you so much. I'm sorry we're up against it, Raphael, but thank you for the phone call. Seeing Dave Bautista, how he lost all that weight is like how you double take former offensive linemen when they stop playing football. And it's like, whoa, that's
what he looks like as a normal human.
Right, exactly. It's like, that's Matt Burke? Like, whoa. Or someone like that.
Yeah. By the way, that movie was 2007, Into the Wild.
Wow, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
CeeLo has some updates for us. Maybe poll question, would you gain 100 pounds for a movie role? What do you have, CeeLo?
Football season is here, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Download Prize Picks and use code MNP and get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details. So the Panthers made headlines this week with the benching of second-year quarterback Bryce Young. So Wednesday, first chance to hear from his teammates on the move. Here was veteran wideout Adam Thielen offering support.
Everyone believes in him. I think the teammate he is, the player he is, I think the coaches and players all feel the same way about that. There was just their decision that they felt like that was the best thing that helps us win, gives us a chance to win on Sunday.
So it'll be Andy Dalton getting the start against the Raiders.
We also love Andy, everything that he's done for this organization, for this team, for me as an individual. Everybody in this locker room, everybody in this organization has a ton of respect for Andy.
So very quick there, but in the same breath, he hit us with organization and then organization. Like the Canadian organization. Now, he's a Minnesota guy, so he's kind of close to the border, but I thought it was interesting. He went with both pronunciations there in the same soundbite.
Yeah, that is a good observation by you. Also, let's not pretend that Adam Thielen basically having a temper tantrum on the sideline didn't have anything to do with the fact that Bryce Young's getting benched.
Good point.
Because Thielen's a pretty even-keeled dude, I think, by all accounts.
I mean, Bryce Young had a lot to do with Bryce Young.
Yeah, fair.
He just could not hit the side of a barn.
It's gonna hurt you when you're trying to be a quarterback.
I don't know what happened to that dude. I've heard so many different theories. I'm like, he forgot how to play football. I'm sorry. That's just what I saw on the field.
That's a problem.
I mean, you might have been right that he was a flawed prospect because of his size already, but even so, his numbers are so bad.
Do you have words in your life that you pronounce two different ways? I don't know if I do.
No, I don't think so. That's why it kind of jumped out to me.
Yeah, I get it.
But
you're calling him a fraud, basically.
No. I just maybe he's kind of caught in between.
It's because he's lying.
Where he grew up. Oh, all right. Well, there's that theory as well.
Bryce Young, no, we still love him. We still got all the faith in the world in him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you don't.
He went alter ego there. Did you guys do anything on the C.J. Stroud, Caleb Williams interaction that
Not
came
yet.
out?
Go for it.
Okay. All right. Well, what I have is Stroud addressing it. I don't have the actual audio of the exchange from Sunday night. Maybe they do on the other side of the glass.
Yeah, EJ and Ryan have it. So why don't you set it up?
All right, sure. So this was after the Sunday nighter between the Texans and the Bears. So, of course, you get the post-game handshakes and hugs. And Stroud grabs Williams with some, I guess, initial encouragement. And then Williams, as he basically goes to leave, and Stroud kind of pulls him back in and gives him a second part of it. And my interpretation, it seemed like Williams was like less than thrilled. Maybe it's just because they lost the game, but that definitely garnered some attention.
Good job out there, bro.
Yeah,
hey,
keep going.
Stop taking those hits.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, learn from those mistakes, and everything that you got, bro, is in you already, bro. You're gonna be a hell of a player in this league.
Yep.
All right, boy.
Appreciate it.
For sure.
Yeah, yep. When he listened to come here was when he kind of pulled him back in.
Right.
And, I'm trying to do the right thing, but people thought, hey, you're a second-year quarterback. You're not exactly a grizzled veteran here. So Wednesday, Stroud got a chance to address that, and he was clarifying he wasn't trying to talk down the rookie or anything like that.
I was not trying to, treat him like I was trying to, little bro him or nothing. He knows that, too. I have a ton of respect for him. I told him I have respect for him. I had so many guys coming to me after games last year, and that meant the world to me. That those guys even thought about giving me advice. So I just try to get back to what the game has given to me.
So he's trying to pay it forward in his interpretation, at least.
To be honest, I didn't understand why Stroud was getting criticism here. It's like, yeah, I know he's not a grizzled vet, but he did just go through a season and make the playoffs. It's not like he's done nothing. So to say, hey, stop taking those hits. The one thing is the advice is kind of obvious. I think if Caleb could do something to stop taking those hits, and he can get rid of the ball, stuff like that. I didn't see this as a little broing him, pat on the head, stay safe out there. I don't know.
Maybe the pullback and the, hey, come here, he was almost like
the last time he's going to see him.
I didn't view it that way, but I guess just
it's been out there.
People
I've seen
saying it that way. I'm like, okay, if I watch it with that lens, I could see where they maybe thought that.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing is a bit of a reach to even make it a thing. I have no idea what to say. They're probably friends, right? This is
Well, they're the same age, right?
Yeah, I mean, they probably come up in the same circles, Elite 11. They're not exactly the same class. We just looked it up. Stroud was class of 2020 and Caleb was 2021, but I'm sure they were all in the same camps a million times.
Right.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they grew up on totally different coasts. I mean, Caleb Williams is from D.C. and C.J. Stroud's from L.A., but
all those quarterbacks do the same string of camps. I would imagine they're buddies.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, EJ, did you see this as a little broing?
I didn't see it as that. I could see why people would feel that way because of Stroud being so young. But I don't know. And Stroud didn't say this, but I feel like he would not have said this, I think, if Caleb's body language wasn't so bad. Like he says in the press conference, like, I can understand, like, he's upset that they lost. Like, 'cause he's like, are people, because Caleb kind of gives him kind of a cold shoulder. Like, he kind of doesn't want anything to do with this. But I think he tells him that because the fact that Caleb looked so distraught, looked so
right. Like you're going to be okay.
Yeah, like you saw him on the sidelines. I mean, he looked like he couldn't do another drive if he had to do another drive.
He was like slumped down, eyes closed up. It was like this dude, don't send him back out there. He looked like he was going to end up in a body bag. And let's not also forget, Caleb Williams has a really big moment from his college career where he's crying on the sidelines. Maybe the losing, and people know that the losing could get to him and it could shake his confidence a little bit. So I think Stroud is all good. I think he's just sort of one of those leader types.
Yeah, he's trying to pick up a young quarterback who's going through it a little bit here in the early going.
Right. Stroud is definitely a leader type. Like you hear everything he taught. He's a verbal guy too. That's the one thing. Like some guys don't. Like Jalen Hurts has nothing.
Nothing.
He actually spoke in the locker room, and Sirianni's like, God, I can't believe it. Jalen Hurts came both. CJ Stroud, and this sounds to me, will not shut up. Like he's a very verbal person. So that's why, to me, like he definitely didn't mean anything.
I mean, look who his best friend in the NFL is, Micah Parsons.
Oh my God! Oh right,
the two of those guys.
The eyesight. I'll watch those guys do anything. They're hysterical together.
Every time I hear Hurts speak, sounds like he's a step away from laryngitis. I mean, that's not his fault.
Like Doc Rivers on the sideline.
You would think he'd spent the whole game screaming.
Well, he said he was sick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He's but definitely, like, you can tell the difference. Some quarterbacks are very loud. Like our guy Boomer Esiason here, I'll bet you he was super talkative during his playing days. And that's why he went straight to the booth.
Definitely.
Boomer's like a Hall of Fame broadcaster. Like this, he's just as good at playing quarterback as he is broadcasting. Yeah, it's amazing.
And he was, like, even as a player, I remember, oh my God, this guy's going to go right to the booth. There's certain guys who, and that's CJ Stroud. So that's why I don't take anything from this. If he thinks it, he says it. That sounds mean, right?
I'm on side of Stroud here. I'm on Team Stroud.
Who do you think is the loudest quarterback in the league? I'd have to go with Mahomes. He's got that Kermit the Froggy voice that's really distinct and loud.
It's distinct, yeah, but I don't know if he's the loudest.
Definitely.
Who, Dak?
Oh my God. Here we go. You can hear that from 3 rooms over. That's the craziest weird thing. But you mean loud, like in the way they call the play at the line, or just like off-field loud? Who's like
I meant at the line. Like who's best for their team in terms of checks at the line, all that stuff. Like who can actually be heard?
They all kind of scream.
You have to.
I'll tell you what, watching the Jet game, Levis is loud. Yeah. He was, and like usually you're in a game of Rodgers, usually you always hear all of his calls.
Yeah.
Levis was coming through I was like, wow, I didn't realize his cadence was so strong.
Kirk Cousins screams at the line. Like the quieter the person is, like the louder they yell.
Probably feel like they've got to project, make sure everyone hears it on the field.
Who's the chattiest quarterback off the field? Like it's obviously not Tom Brady, by the way, if you've seen him in the booth. But who is it? Is it Rodgers? Is it Stroud? Who's the guy who is talks the most?
Rodgers.
Chatty?
I think Rodgers is a front runner.
I don't think so.
Baker talks a lot. Baker Mayfield has a lot to say.
I think maybe Baker.
I guess when I hear chat, I think I'm thinking more about the delivery.
Like trash talk you're talking about? Or
just like the...
Always talking.
Yeah, the most verbal guy. Yeah, always saying something.
Stroud might be my pick.
Yeah, I mean, Baker and Stroud seem to...
Mahomes talks fast, so I think he's probably...
Yeah.
Pretty chatty, I would think.
Aaron Rodgers would lecture the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would talk to a mannequin.
But he gives me the impression that he's only given that to certain guys he cares about. He's a little kind of elitist in that regard where, like, he's not giving the third string receiver anything.
Well, maybe not in Green Bay, but now I think he's tried to change it around where I bet the cafeteria workers are probably like, this guy won't shut up. Because I think he's trying to make a point. Like, I just want to go home to my family. And Rodgers, who's he going home to, right? More playbook, more watching Netflix, more weird.
Netflix, more like YouTube.
Yeah, more weird conspiracy theory documentaries.
Like Lost, as he revealed.
He's got all the time in the world. If you're rewatching Lost, you've got a lot of time on your hands. And this, like, I can see it just,
You don't got to study the playbook. He made the playbook.
He wrote it.
Right. He sends Nathaniel Hackett home with homework to do on the playbook.
I'll give you 3 quiet guys. Well, they're not really quiet, but who want to be up there at the podium at least. Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray.
That's what I was going to say.
One.
Kyler
Lamar
Murray,
is
sure.
not one to. Lamar Jackson does not want to hang around and
not
explain.
at the podium. I bet he's chatting with his teammates.
But he does not let himself get out. You don't see
No.
Lamar talking in the offseason. Where you see Aaron Rodgers is on every podcast known to man.
I mean, and these podcasts are long.
Yeah.
Like, I know because I'm always trying to look for Rodgers content. We do our What the Bleep is Aaron Rodgers up to today? And it's like, oh, he's on this podcast with this world-famous archer. I'm like, how is this podcast 2 hours and 45 minutes? I can't listen to this.
He does have a very deliberate, calm, smooth, slow delivery.
Oh, he's from California.
You know who talks a lot? Minshew. Gardner Minshew.
Definitely. Oh, yeah.
He's a talker.
He's high on that list.
Yeah. There's definitely the quiet guys and the loud guys.
And a guy like Minshew, and no disrespect to him, but like he would annoy me because it's like, dude, like you're like barely hanging on as a starter. Like you're the
Hey, they
last
just beat
guy.
the Ravens.
I know, but you be the last. Like imagine like you're a Raider, like this training camp, this mini camp, and like he's just talking to you nonstop. You're like, bro, I don't know if you're gonna be the starter. I don't know if you're gonna be here by week 6. You're still talking like.
Throwing dimes to Brock Bowers. He'll be there for the next 5 years.
Oh, yeah. He looked great this weekend for sure. But that's the Minshew experience, though. He'll give you 1 or 2 good games where you're like, ooh, maybe this is the guy. And then.
Did Minshew really look great on Sunday?
Second half, I thought he
did okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the Ravens defense.
Listen, Devontae, and the Ravens defense was dominating in the first half, too. Yeah. And then Devontae Adams can just catch anything, except for weirdly, he dropped a pass over the middle, which was so weird. But it's like one-handed, not like Odell, but like on the sideline, just sort of like catching almost like a baby. I don't know.
Silly good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And we had a caller yesterday who basically called and asked if the Raiders are good. No clue.
I mean,
get back to us on that one.
Yeah, it's 2 games.
Not
Let
sure.
it play out a little bit. Right?
I give their ceiling at 9-7.
Yeah.
9-8.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Middle of the road. Here's something from Delta 9 in the chat. We talked about whether you would gain 100 pounds for a movie role if you were an actor. And Delta said, my take is there are good enough fat actors out there already who look close enough to Belushi. This is fat discrimination. Should they have just found somebody who was already a little overweight? Maybe you discover somebody. Maybe it's their big break, their big role. And then all of a sudden we get just like a heftier person.
Play devil's advocate.
Who's playing Belushi
Would those
in the
people
new
then
Saturday
be
Night Live
offended?
movie?
Oh, you're only asking me because I'm a fat person? Right? Get the other side of that.
Well, but if it's a breakout role.
Yeah. Fair.
There's a new Saturday Night Live movie that's getting a lot of hype. Who's playing Belushi in that? And did he put on weight? Because Belushi wasn't actually that heavy for the first season.
I was going to say, I bet Belushi is one of those people like Babe Ruth. I think we remember them being really big, but then when you see a picture of him, it's like, was he as big as Farley? Not even close.
Yeah, well, at the time, maybe, but as you know,
right. We've
gotten
changed.
Progressively larger
Yeah.
for the most part. Not all of us.
I blame the hormones in our
That'd
food.
be hard to. That would be really hard to play Chris Farley. Like then you cannot like Belushi was a lot. Yeah. Anyway,
But it's that physical comedy, though.
Whoever's
So-
playing Belushi, this guy Matt Wood.
Matt Wood doesn't even have
I
a.
can't. Yeah,
he doesn't
we're
even
doing
have
the
a
same
page.
thing.
He's
Can't
a
click on him
nobody.
on Wikipedia.
Oh, that's cool. Maybe he'll be a breakout.
He's like one of 3 on this long list that doesn't
There's
have the
this-
hyperlink
yeah.
for his name.
There's this awesome Saturday. I think it's called Saturday Night. It's a new movie that's coming out that has no stars in it because they didn't want anybody recognizable playing these guys. It looks great.
I know.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, we are going to have somebody on the show who is in that movie.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Is their first name initials?
No.
Okay.
Also, spoiler, we've been talking a lot about Batman. This person was also in a couple Batmans. There you go.
Love that.
Good tease.
Yeah.
Is
That's
there-
going to be a couple weeks from now. The
Is
movie
their
doesn't come
first
out.
name initials? I like the way.
Well, because I'm scrolling and I'm looking at the cast and there was one name that jumped out that I do recognize,
Well-
so I thought maybe it was that person.
I mean, when you say is their first name initials, like are their name is in like initials Johnson? You mean like
You're right.
J.J.
Stewart.
McCarthy.
Correct. Yes. Obviously, the initials
Yeah.
stand for a first and a middle name, but I should have said the name he goes by. That's not his last name.
Yeah, I'm
Just
just
wait.
picking on you.
You're going to
No,
be
you're right.
It's not J.K. Simmons, but that would be awesome.
That
We
was
should
a
reach
good
out to
pick
him.
on me moment. You are correct.
No,
Whatever. It was a bucolic read.
Just wait now. Perloff's going to start
0
some
for
kind
2.
of trend where everyone's naming their kid Initials Johnson. I mean, it's probably better than Hayden, Payden, Jaden, and Layden. 855-212-4227. Thank you, CeeLo.
I apologize. That was the second most obnoxious thing I've said to you today.
No. It was
Doesn't
an
even make the
excellent
top
point
5.
because the way I worded my question made absolutely no sense. So you cleared it up for everyone out there.
Coming up, big story yesterday that could have a lot of reverberations, but not in the way you might think. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
In the Gotham streets, the night is still, but Batman's got a new type of thrill. He's hosting sports talk on the radio waves, breaking down the game, making bold hot takes. But where's my board up? The signal's a flop. Peter Bellani didn't show up on the clock. Oh, Peter, where are you? The bat signal's on. I'm trying to break down LeBron and Zion. The Dark Knight's ready, but the show's a fight. Without Bellani, I can't win the night. Infinity Sports, where heroes speak, but Bellani's absence, man, it's weak. Gotham's villains, I can handle no sweat, but no board up. That's my biggest threat. I'm talking touchdowns, slam dunks, and more, but the Pete's ghosting me right out the door. Oh, Peter, where are you? The bat phone's dead. I need your help before I lose my head. The Joker's laughing, but this ain't a joke. Bellani, come on, don't leave me in smoke. Alfred's trying to fix the feed, but even he knows I'm in need of my trusty board up, but he's a no-show. Guess Batman's running this thing solo. Peter, where are you? The sports world's on fire. Gotham needs me, but this is dire. The Cape Crusader can't do it all. Without Bellani, this show's bound to fall. Perloff's at the wheel, Nico's talking Mets. Dressed like he's ready for fantasy camp bets. Perloff munches tacos, Nico's talking stats. But man, this ride's slower than a game of cats. Big Matthew's dog just kicks in the sound. Perloff's taco talk, Nico barely looks around. They're headed to San Antonio, but who really cares? Peter Bellani's nowhere, just up in thin air. Boring as it gets on the road to San Antonio. But where's Peter Bellani? He's always on his own. Tacos Mets and Dave Matthews hate, but Peter Bellani's the real no-show debate. We can check tacos, we can diss the tunes. But Peter Bellani's miss what's the real news. Nico's rocking Mets gear like it's game day pride. Perloff says tacos are the reason for the ride, but no one's really listening, they're all falling asleep. This combo's a snooze fest, way too deep. Perloff's dreaming tacos, Nico's dreaming wins. But where's Peter Bellani? Skipping work again. He bet a steaks, but we'll never see the grill, cause Bellani's ghosted work, man, what's the deal? Boring as it gets on the road to San Antonio. Nico's at the helm, but it's a sinking ship. He's running the board, but it's a constant trip. He's leading during breaks, it's a recurring theme. But the real problem's Peter, the one who's MIA, it seems. Peter Bellani, where'd you go? You're supposed to be working, but nobody knows.
Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Peter King's going to join us coming up in the next hour. Of course, the football writer, reporter, just recently retired. But we got 16 new NFL finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Eli Manning and Marshawn Lynch were two people that really caught our eye. We're going to see what Peter has to say about it. He was a longtime Hall of Fame voter until he literally just gave it up this summer. But, of course, he covered all of these guys and want to get his thoughts on.
Definitely.
Eli, is he a first ballot? Marshawn Lynch, how good of a case does he have to get in? So a lot going on. Speaking of retirements, a little bit of a shock yesterday, maybe a big one in the sports media world, where Adrian Wojnarowski, Woj, decided to call it quits. Now, Woj is going to leave the news-breaking business, and he's going to go be the general manager for the St. Bonaventure basketball program. He went to St. Bonaventure. It's his alma mater in the days now of NIL. College GMs are a thing.
Definitely college scouting departments. I don't know if basketball has scouting departments like football does, but they're gearing up. College football is like pro football now.
Yeah, I mean, you really got to be like working the transfer portal because you've got 100 guys on the roster. I mean, basketball is 15, so it's a little different, But you still have to dole out your NIL funds like you're doing a salary cap. So you have You have $8 million at St. Bonaventure to spend on your team. You got to figure out where you're spending it. Wow, I don't know if they've got $8 million, but sure, we'll see. I'm calling it now. This is a fake retirement. I think Woj probably believes that maybe he's burned out or maybe he wants to go do something else. The news-breaking business sounds fun, but in reality, your quality of life is bad. Now, you're getting paid a lot, but you have to be on call almost 24/7. You get no time. You are just attached to your phones. We think it's funny when we see like Adam Schefter like on TV working the phones, but like that's his whole life. That's not just the 5 minutes we see him on SportsCenter. I don't buy this. I think there is something in Woj that is so competitive and a need to get information out there and a need to sort of quote unquote win in these instances that is such a strong draw, Perloff. I don't think he's going to be able to stay away.
Yeah, but can he scratch that competitive itch as a GM of a college basketball team? I feel like that's actually really competitive in the sense that their actual wins and losses, not just, I don't know, a slap on the back for figuring out that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander signed a new contract. Like, you actually, I don't know. When I heard this story, everyone's like, oh, it's a retirement from being a newsbreaker, but it's an awesome job. Like, be a GM of the basketball team. You're a basketball guy. I feel like that's a kind of a dream job for a lot of people in this business. I mean, that'd be amazing. I mean, it's not the biggest program. If it was a big program, then everyone would be like, oh my God. Say it was an ACC school, like he's the GM of UNC basketball.
Or Kentucky or something.
Yeah, it'd be a massive, massive promotion. The only reason it's not a big deal is because it's St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, I think that might be part of it too. He's got an emotional attachment to it, but is the A10 schedule, is the juice going to be like enough to get, this is a guy who's, as high profile as it gets when it comes to basketball, working on the draft coverage, working on these massive stories. And the NBA is like the league of stars. And now you're going to go to do St. Bonaventure basketball? And no disrespect, I went to an A10 school too, and I've been to Olean a few times in January. This is not LA. As someone proudly from upstate New York, I'll be the first to admit it. That you better have an emotional attachment. That's not an easy place to live. It is cold, cloudy, and kind of depressing. Now, you get your alma mater, so that's definitely something. I just don't see him being able to stay away. He's going to watch Shams Charania step into a $20 million contract and start breaking all this news. I think guys like this are built different. They're wired differently. And maybe he's just burnt out and needs a little time to get away, and then I think that itch starts to come back, and then someone's going to text him something. Hey, just a heads up. I saw this. And then you get pulled back in. I think it's like a drug.
Maybe. I think that college lifestyle is sweet, though. People love that. I mean, like, you look at any magazine article of the best places to live in America. 10 out of 10 are college towns.
Sure.
I would love this job. I mean, if Dartmouth called me up and said you could be GM of the basketball team, I'd be like, very intrigued.
We got a show to do.
Hey.
You can't leave us.
But GM of trust me, there's no way I'm qualified to be GM of the Dartmouth basketball team. Well, actually, I was thinking if the Sixers called me, I would do that.
again, you can't leave us.
Well, I'm not going to get that, Dar, but that's the thing. It's a good job.
It's going to feel like a part-time job for Woj.
Packers won the game, Malik Willis led the way, throwing downs and running fast, made defenders pay. But we all know the real story ain't the win or play. It's Pilati steak, back day, you'll dodge another day with the meat. We're all stopping here, promised us summer ribeyes, but you always disappear. Stakes on the line, but you're off the grid. The lights MIA, many always hit. Some ribeyes, but you always disappear. Stakes on the line, but you're off the grid. The Lowry's MIA, many always hit. Showing up to work, no, that's not his style. He's out on a vacation, gonna take a while. He bet us stakes, but we'll never get our share, cause Pilati's at home in his favorite chair. Where's the meat? Pete, we're all starving here. Promised us summer ribeyes, but you always disappear. Stakes on the line, but you're off the grid. Pilati's MIA, many always hit. Where's the meat, Pete? We're all starving here. Promised us some ribeyes, but you always disappear. Stakes on the line, but you're off the grid. Pilati's MIA, many always hit. To work, now that's not his style. He's out on a vacation, gonna take a while. He bet us stakes, but we'll never get our share, cause Pilati's at home in his favorite chair. Where's the meat? Pete, we're all starving here. Promised us summer ribeyes, but you always disappear. Stakes on the line, but you're off the grid. Pilati's MIA, many always hit. Packers won, but we won't win this fight. Pilati's stakes, I'll never see the lights. Where's the meat, Pete? We're all starving here. Promised us some ribeyes, but you always disappear. Way throwing downs and running fast, make defenders pay. But we all know the real story ain't the win or play. It's Pilati steak, back day, you'll dodge another day. Where's the meat, Pete? We're all starving here. Promised us some ribeyes, but you always disappear.
Boogers came home, kids are throwing a fit, dropping F-bombs, talking real slick. He's scratching his head, where'd they learn all this? Must be the TV, but something's amiss. He's calling the sitter, what's going on? My kids are cussing like they're in a rap song. But wait, here's the twist, here's the real deal. The story ain't about what you think or feel. It's not the kids, it's Peter Pilati. Still missing work, got excuses that are spotty. Cursing at home, Bogus is stressed, but Pete's MIA, leaving us all a mess. Peter Pilati, where did you go? Kids are walling out, but you still miss the show. Bobersh's kids are swearing up a storm, but Pate's been gone so long, it's the norm. School calls up, your kids got mouths. Meanwhile, Bilotti's sitting on the couch. Forget the soap for those potty mouth youth. It's Bilotti we need, but that's the real truth. The kids are wild, let's get real clear. We all know who's ghosting around here. It's not the kids, it's Peter Bilotti. Still missing a word, got excuses that are spotty. Cursing at home, Bogus just
I'm way more into the college slate this weekend than Perloff is. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, of course. I'm into USC, Michigan. I'm into Tennessee, Oklahoma. Hell, I'm even into Colorado, Baylor, but not the reasons that, not so much the football side of it. Welcome to the show, by the way, Maggie Gray.
You know the real season starts next week.
I'm into these, especially these two games. I think USC and Michigan is very interesting to me. You got USC now in the Big Ten going to the Big House, and you've got Michigan who might be in this championship hangover kind of year. And if they lose this game in the way they lost to Texas, then we can basically write off Michigan. And that's it. Good night. Goodbye. And we can start asking about Sharon Moore and why was the quarterback situation so messed up and all of that stuff.
See, I give Michigan just a pass. Like, they don't really even exist this year in my mind.
They don't exist.
I mean, they won their title. They were all in last year. The coach left. The quarterback left. There's no reason for me to judge Sharon Moore for anything that happens here. They have this investigation looming over them.
They still have NFL guys on the defensive side of the ball. Like, they still have a team. It's not as good as the championship team, but they still got dudes.
They don't feel relevant in the title picture. I mean, some of these teams might sneak in the Final 12. Michigan's not going to. But they just don't feel like next week is Alabama, Georgia. Obviously, like it feels like the heavyweights are just gearing up to start playing. I'm a big critic of September scheduling. Like USC Michigan's the best game you got. 11 versus 18. You're going to have 2 versus 3 for the rest of the year after this. But anyway, and Colorado, every game feels exciting, but then is it really exciting? Every game is a huge deal with this team. And then they're like, wait, we just got hyped up for Colorado State?
Well, I mean, it was a little, there's always a little something interesting, even when they lose, because it is DeionSanders. Now, they won that Colorado State game, obviously. They lost the Nebraska game. Okay, this one from Deion kind of caught our ear. And we'll get back to the Tennessee-Oklahoma stuff. But this one from Deion caught our ear. He was talking about reporters with college players these days and basically said they criticize college players because they're jealous of the college players. Let's hear it.
Landscape has changed in football. Once upon a time, you guys never attacked college players. Now they're making more money than y'all. And some of y'all are envious and jealous about that. So you're on the attack. It was hands off a college player because he's an amateur. Remember that, guys? Now it's hands on. Go at them any kind of way you want. They're making more money than me, and I'm mad about it.
More from Deion says the media wouldn't like it if the players got personal and thought about sort of attacking the media, but then I guess thought better of it.
Personal stuff, leave it to be personal, because if we start flipping the script on y'all, you wouldn't like it. I can easy. Thank you, Lord, for stopping me there. Ooh, that was almost a good one. That would have went viral.
Okay, so Deion is doing this certain thing, but let's pause on the idea that now that you can pay college players, are they no longer insulated from criticism from the media? I might actually disagree with the premise. I still think that there is a little bit of you would not criticize a college player, I think, in the media the same way that you would criticize an NFL player. Not because of the money. I think it's because of the age and the level that they're playing at. But is Deion talking about media or is he talking about social media? Because none of us as part of the media can help it if a kicker misses a 42-yarder and your team loses to their rival, that kicker is going to get death threats. It's horrible. It's awful. That happened and is not being incited by people who are in actual media, like getting paid to do this job.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Paul Feinbaum used to spend hours ripping Bo Nix to shreds. Like I feel like
Bo was getting paid, right?
Well, no, when he was at Auburn before it, I think he was pre-NIL there. Like I feel like college players get criticized all the time. especially quarterbacks. Like and I understand what Deion's saying. There is some logic to that. Yes. Now college athletes are more like pro athletes. They are pro athletes. There's nothing not pro about them. They're professional athletes. They get paid to perform. So I do understand Deion's sentiment there, but there's a few things he said. He also said, like, what if we flip the script? You wouldn't like that. He's done that all the time. He's been attacking individuals all season long. He's been going after individuals in the press. So that's ridiculous. But this is just, Deion is completely inconsistent in his messaging here. So it's hard to take the messenger serious, especially on this topic. Like, yeah, maybe there's a good discussion, or now that college players are getting paid, is the media being harsher on there? There's a lot of logic to that, but Deion's not the one to say it because he's been really kind of a jerk lately.
Yeah, I guess here's the thing, not to hey, we're defending the media part about this, but I just would like to bring up this point. If you had polled the media, radio, TV, newspapers, bloggers, everything, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, should college athletes be paid? I think it would have been a landslide, yes. Now, there are a couple guys who staunchly held out, hey, your tuition, room, and board is enough, though, the privilege of going to college. There are very few of those old school dudes left. I think everyone would say, no, not only do we want college players to get paid, we're going to use the power of our microphone, of the camera, of the written word to try to do everything we can to get them paid. Perloff, you always say this is the greatest grift of all time, that the coaches are making millions. They can take another job, and meanwhile the college athletes not getting paid, have to sit out a year when they transfer. The coaches can block what schools they can go to. I mean, all that stuff that sounds so antiquated now. So I think Deion's got a little wrong. I think the media was the biggest proponent of athletes getting paid, partly because we see, and we're lucky enough to see, how much work and effort they put into being Division I college athletes.
That's all very true. But that being said, let me ask you this, though. Are college athletes a little more like pro athletes now? And is there a slight turn? I mean, first of all, the murder scene that is DJU coverage.
Sure.
Even on this show. I mean,
yep. No, we've been critical.
I mean,
but we'll be as critical about him as we were of Saquon Barkley for dropping that pass.
Far more on DJU.
Well,
I mean, honestly, DJU's been way worse than Saquon. But they are, do the one thing, like, they are pro athletes. Like, can we stop the student athlete thing? There's nothing. Sure. Now, you brought up a big question. Can you rep a 20-year-old? But they're not even 20 anymore. Now they're 23, 24.
Or 25.
Or Cam Rising. Cam Rising's going to be 42 and still playing at Utah.
Oh, yeah, you got guys that are in college for 7 years, 8 years.
But
that's the exception.
I just think I think the college sports world, I think actually Deion does have a value, but they have to be ready to be treated like pros, like, because the money is going to bring that.
Yeah. I want to ask you guys a question, because I thought Deion, I disagree with almost everything he said, but there was one point I thought was interesting. He mentioned, we forget about the Cam Risings and Cam McCormick. He said these are young men who, their age, they're just not equipped mentally, emotionally to deal with the criticism, regardless of whether they're getting paid like athletes or we should consider them pro athletes. Do you buy that as the reason why criticism should be held back, because simply they're essentially children?
Yeah, well, then take away their phones.
They're not children. That's ridiculous. I mean, listen, and we're the only country who has this weird college system. In any other country, in any other sport, they've been pros for 5 years now. I mean, listen, the 21-year-old is ancient for the tennis world or any other. Internationally, these guys are playing soccer in a high level of 15. So it's like, no, to treat a 20-year-old like he's a kid is stupid.
Well, I think, listen, the impact, I think, more of social media, whether the local columnist comes in and writes something, I think is probably a lot easier for a 20-year-old to ignore. Like, are they even going to see that? But it's the flood of social media after the game that I think they see you suck, you're the worst, memes, all the stuff like, oh, roasted, all these things that I think get really personal, and I think that does have an impact. Now, where I would question Deion again, as Perloff said, being the flawed messenger, if you're really worried about the mental health of these young people, then you don't bring your camera crew into Colorado that first meeting and say, grab all your crap and get out and hit the portal because I'm bringing my baggage and it's Louis Vuitton. And then put it out there on your own social media channel. What do you think you did to those kids? So it's only your kids you have to worry about the mental health. But all the cast-offs that no longer can play for you because you don't think they're good enough, the mental health of those kids means nothing. Having a Hall of Famer come in and tell you you're not good enough, what do you think that does to a kid? So again, like for Deion, it's hard sometimes to take him because he is so contradictory, Pearl, as you said.
Okay, here's another question, another inconsistency. 15 years ago, like college quarterbacks didn't get shredded to pieces. I know social media might not have been as big, but I feel like I don't feel like they've been immune because they're kids, especially in the sports-heavy areas of like college football. Like if Alabama blew a big game, I assume that quarterback got a lot of criticism.
I'm sure, but again, is it like social media? Is it coast to coast? Would it be a little more? Listen, we not rip them, but we critique them during the draft process too. Like there's a lot there.
That's not specific to college sports. All athletes, pro sports, all NBA guys get shredded on social media now.
Yep.
I mean, also too, college fans, when they're mean in basketball, they can be really mean, usually to the other team, but that is not, it's not for the faint of heart. This college football is intense, and that has been for a long time.
Definitely.
Deion, I think, thinks that I'm DeionSanders, I'm above reproach. You certainly get that vibe.
Well, yeah.
I mean, he is primetime. But no, you're right, though. Like, he does have that vibe to him. Yeah. And I totally agree, because I just feel like I didn't live through all this, but I've watched too many 30 for 30 documentaries on various college athletes and college teams where all I see are old clips, press clippings, national columns on Christian Laettner, the Fab Five, the Miami Hurricanes, USC. Just pick any prominent Johnny Manziel, Tim Tebow, pick any prominent college athlete pre-NIL, and they all got a lot of crap, good and bad.
Chris Webber,
exactly.
Oh, gosh, the
Fab
timeout.
Five.
Oh, he's still getting he's still criticized for that. It's like a moment he can never live down.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other like classic mistakes. I mean, most of it was good for Johnny Manziel, but I don't think. What Deion's saying, but there is something like college sports. I think he brings up an interesting question. Is it now just going to be treated like a pro league? And is that fair to do that?
Well, I think you guys are saying it always has been treated like a pro league.
Right, but has
there been a big change?
Yeah, but I think it's even more so now because there's so much more money in the sport. Not only is the players getting paid, but I understand like the ratings are going up. Like it's becoming more and more popular every year. So I think like they have to expect there's going to be more heat on it. If another coach has said that, we might take them seriously. But then again, college football coaches are such frauds that it's kind of hard to tell.
855-212-4227. Is it appropriate to criticize college players? How appropriate? And the fact they're getting paid, does this mean it's now like open season, like it basically is on pro athletes?
I mean, seriously, like I think DJU has gotten more criticism than any athlete in any sport so far this fall.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even think of who the close second would be.
Will Levis, maybe.
Maybe Will Levis. Yeah.
Is a pro, though, right? Aren't we saying that there's two different rules?
I'm saying no, but I'm saying DJU more than any other pro athlete. It's gotten more heat and more attention because there's 10 million people watching that Florida State game, and he's playing terribly. I just don't think there's any immunity for being in college. I'm not sure there ever was, though.
855-212-4227. Yeah, the difference now between college and pros. And I always thought it was going to be a lot different about the expectation of what you do for a school now that you're getting paid. And I know it's not being paid by the school yet, but like, do you have to play the bowl game? Do you have to do this? Do you have to, how much do you have to do now because of these contracts?
But there is a new dynamic. Oh, this quarterback's getting $6 million a year and he's not delivering. Like, used to be like we would follow, oh, this guy's a 5-star and he can't even make the team. That was a disappointment. But now he's getting $6 million and he can't even win the starting job. That'll become a thing that we never had to deal with. If Deion had said that calmly and casually, but like with Deion, there's so much noise, which I think he does on purpose.
No doubt. I think that happened with Malachi Nelson, didn't it, at Boise? Did they pay him a lot to come in and then...
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's funny. I said something to you guys yesterday that Perloff was dumbfounded by.
What's that?
And I'm curious if he still feels this way. Because when Deion said this, what I like to do is when there's any media critique, I put the camera on myself and say, okay, is that how I feel?
Are you a reporter who's envious of a college football player?
Am I jealous
for making...
or envious of Shedeur Sanders or Travis Hunter? I'm not jealous of those lives. I'm sorry. Like he's a college quarterback, Shedeur, Travis Hunter, great defensive player, great, all well and good. They're making great money in NIL. But I don't know. I see their lifestyle. They're streaming on Twitch. They got Rolexes. They got Cybertrucks. Like, I don't look at that and say, I want this flashy lifestyle. I don't that's me. I can't speak for everybody else. But to me, like Deion made it seem like because we're in your face with our, kind of showmanship and kind of our materialism that somehow you guys envy that. I just don't. I'm sorry. Like it's because I'm not in the mind of a 21-year-old. If I was 21, 22, hell yeah, I'd want to be Shedeur Sanders. All the girls you can get, all the drive all these cars. But at 33 years old, I can't imagine a 40-year-old or 50-year-old. I don't look at Shedeur Sanders to say I want to be him. I don't do that.
Well, okay, maybe I misunderstood, but generally, like if you could go back and trade your life for Shedeur Sanders' life. No offense, because you've done great, but I would hope you take Shedeur.
No, I'm talking about but Deion saying the media, like the people who are commentating on his son, and I don't think that middle-aged reporters really want to be Shedeur Sanders. I'm sorry, I don't believe
it's
that.
only because you've met a lot of middle-aged reporters and you realize most of them just want to get home.
I think you become a sports reporter because you fantasize about being first baseman for the Philadelphia Phillies. Like, I mean, we all
that's very specific.
Maybe not the Phillies, Mets over here, but
yeah. Or to be a quarterback and walk into every room and have everyone kiss your butt your entire life and have any girlfriend you want, like that sounds much better than me, desperately trying to talk to Susie, whatever, in English class and getting shot down. I'm sorry, I would take the all-time great quarterback. Yeah.
Perloff's like, hey, can I do your homework for you?
Yes. Meanwhile, she's like, I'll cheat off you in the math test, but then I'm going to go date Johnny, the quarterback over there.
Would you want to trade
so
places
I guess I
with
misunderstood.
Shedeur?
Like, now you're saying you wouldn't want all that headache of being a 21-year-old star. But in general, though, I mean, did you fantasize about being the Jets quarterback?
Absolutely.
It'd be amazing.
Of course, every young person who's into sports wants to be that sports athlete.
But I still think there's a lot of fun things about being Shedeur Sanders. You get to go out and throw 4 touchdowns and throw to 80,000 people. That's awesome.
I know. Hopefully, you just don't take 7 sacks.
Well, I would say certain games.
Part.
That was a schedule dependent thing.
Right. Yeah. Not against Nebraska.
Not against a good Big 12 team, but if you get one of those FCS schools, you might have a day.
Really show off. 855-212-4227. Okay, we will check in with one of our very good friends next. Haven't talked to him in a while. He's gone through some major life changes. Peter King, 3-time sports writer of the year and one of the great voices and writers who have covered the NFL for over 3 decades. He is going to join us next. We're going to get Peter's thoughts on these first-time Hall of Famers, these nominees, Eli Manning, Marshawn Lynch. Are these first ballot guys? Is Marshawn in? A lot more, too. 855-212-4227. Don't move.
All right, football season is here, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action while watching football or other sports. I did soccer last night, Maggie. It didn't go well. Kevin De Bruyne had less than 47 passes. He had 30 passes. You know what? I was so excited to try a different sport, and I was on fire. But that's okay because I had a great time following Kevin De Bruyne.
Would you like to know how I did?
Yeah, how'd you do?
I did great because Framber Valdez had more than 5.5 strikeouts. So let's go Prize Picks. And what we love about Prize Picks, not just that the app is so easy to use, but you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect and all the withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks, the only daily fantasy app with injury insurance. So if one of your players goes down in the first half, Prize Picks doesn't count it as a loss, Perloff. It's just some of the many ways Prize Picks put its members like me and you first.
Download the Prize Picks app today and use code MNP and get $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's code MNP on Prize Picks to get $50 credit instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Haven't checked in with our good friend, the 3-time National Sports Writer of the Year, now part of the Let's Go podcast. It's the one and only Peter King. Peter, thank you for joining us fresh off of retirement, but I knew you couldn't fully stay away. You had to do something. And can I tell you this? We have you up now on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Twitter. You look great. How's retirement treating you?
It's fantastic, Maggie. Hi, Andrew. It's really good. I've had a chance to do things I would not have been able to do were I not retired. For instance, my wife and I organized and sort of piloted our first ever family reunion in July. And I've been involved in a fundraising project trying to restore 17 interscholastic teams to the public schools in my hometown of Enfield, Connecticut. So that has been a really rewarding thing to do as well, because for 40 years I did things for me and for our family. And now it's good to be able to do some things for other people. So that's been a joy for me.
Peter, did you get the itch over week 1 or week 2? It's Sunday afternoon. I think, you have muscle memory to start writing your column or keep working on your column. Did you miss it, or did part of you want to run to your computer and write something down?
Not really, Andrew. I write notes for our show with Jim Gray, and I send those before I go to bed Sunday night. The difference is I'm trying to go to bed at halftime of the Sunday night game rather than 6 hours later. But that's what I do. I mean, there have been some things I wanted to write about. I would have loved to have written something about Deshaun Watson after week 1. I would have loved to have told everybody to shut up about Tua after his concussion. It's nobody's business but his own. I understand everybody has an opinion, but let the guy make his own decision instead of playing doctor and, like the Antonio Pierces of the world and telling the guy to retire. It's just, it's wrong. But anyway, no, mostly I just like sitting back and look, tonight I'm going to my first game as a fan since 1983.
Wow. Jets Pats.
I'm going to
of all the
I'm
games,
going to the
Peter.
Jets. Yeah, I'm going to the Jets Patriots game tonight with some friends, actually, as part of the fundraiser for Enfield, Connecticut. So, that kind of stuff is fun.
Okay, so Peter King is joining us. What's the plan? Like, where are your seats? I mean, what are you do you have a big tailgate going on?
We're sitting somewhere in the lower bowl. I forget exactly where. But what was really nice about this is that, so I'm doing this as a charity function. And so the Jets were nice enough to be able to get us on the field before the game. So Fred Godelli, my old friend from NBC, is going to show us the truck before the game. He works with Amazon as well. And then Richard Sherman, my old friend at the MMQB, got us 5 tickets for the game. So me and my 4 friends will watch the game together, courtesy of Richard Sherman. So, that's kind of a fortunate thing.
Man, what a life. I mean, Peter, this is great. And the fact that you get to help out your hometown, get sports back in those middle schools and stuff where it's just so wildly important. We know that.
Yeah.
Peter King is joining us. Now, one of the reasons we want to bring you on, first of all, we like you and you're a friend, but also we saw the Hall of Fame nominees. Now, I know you are no longer an official Hall of Fame voter, but these are guys you covered, I mean, obviously. So when you see Eli Manning, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer in your opinion?
Maggie, I've never got hung up in first ballot, second ballot, third ballot for a very simple reason. There's not a soul 10 years from now who will ask, what ballot did you get in when some guy is wearing his Hall of Fame blazer? Nobody cares. I mean, sure, the players care. They want to get in the first year. But I've never, I did this for 33 years and just resigned last month because obviously I retired. But I always felt this way. I want to select the 5 modern era candidates that I feel that year are most worthy. So let's say if Eli Manning were coming up against Barry Sanders, Dan Marino, Brett Favre, Reggie White, whatever. I mean, he's probably not going to make it the first year. But if he's coming up against a softer class, maybe he's going to make it. I do believe he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And whether he gets in the first year, second year, I just don't know. And I've never thought that that's that big a deal.
There's, even when he was playing, people were talking about his Hall of Fame. There's criticisms that if he wasn't a Manning and he wasn't in New York, that
that's a pile of crap.
I kind of, I needed to,
total pile of crap. Okay. And look, his candidacy isn't slam dunk. It is sketchy because if you look at it, this guy won playoff games in 2 seasons, but those 2 seasons were incredible. Because, look, he went on the road, in the first season. Obviously, they went on the road. They knocked the Patriots from being, the only the second undefeated team in NFL history, modern history. They beat the 18-0 Patriots with his heroics and David Tyree's heroics at the end of the game. And then the second time, not only does he, and I should add, in both cases, in both years, Eli Manning went into Green Bay and shocked the world, first beating Brett Favre, sending him into early retirement, and then obviously he came back. And then the second time, obviously, they play great in the playoffs. They go and they crush the Packers. I think they were the top seeded Packers, in the postseason. And then obviously they beat the Patriots again. Look, if you beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick twice in the Super Bowl, tell me what, and you're one of the top 10, quarterbacks statistically of all time, whatever he is now, 10, 12, whatever. I cannot see a logical reason for keeping the guy out of the Hall of Fame.
The quarterback with 2 Super Bowl rings who did not make it was Jim Plunkett. Do you remember the debates about him?
I really wasn't doing it then.
Yeah.
And the problem really with Plunkett is that his regular season record is just incredibly mediocre.
Yeah.
And I don't think that anybody can look at his record. I mean, to me, I don't think winning the Super Bowl, even winning it twice, should be reason that you get in the Hall of Fame. You've got to have the rest of your career has to support that. And I understand people would say, well, look at the rest of Eli Manning's career. He had a bunch of lousy years. He was never all pro. I totally get it. And that's why he has a unique case. Kurt Warner had a unique case. He had a transcendent, ridiculous few years leading the greatest show on turf, and then he had a revival in his career. So look, I think all these things have to be looked at individually, but I'm not a big Plunkett booster for the Hall of Fame. I don't think he belongs.
Peter King is joining us. Of course, he's on the Let's Go podcast now, which is great. Peter, you tried to retire. You were never going to be able to fully retire. People were going to want to hear your opinion on stuff. 3-time Sports Writer of the Year, one of the preeminent NFL writers that we've ever had. And he joins us now. What about Marshawn Lynch, Peter? Marshawn Lynch, another first-time nominee. Is he a Hall of Famer?
I think he's got a good case, but I think his issue is going to be that, I forget where he is. He's somewhere in the low 20s, maybe even as low as 30 and on the all-time rushing list. And you've got guys above him, like Frank Gore, who I'm guessing rushed for 5,000 or 6,000 yards more than he did in his career. And so now look, the couple of things that Marshawn Lynch has going for him is that, first of all, he had one of the greatest playoff rushes of all time, in the playoff game against the Saints. I think it was against the Saints, but that's one of the greatest playoff runs that there ever was. His long run where he broke 58 tackles. But I think there's a tremendous amount of sentiment because he was such a beloved player in Seattle and he was such a leader on that team. But then you have to ask yourself, okay, you're Tiki Barber. You've got more rushing yards. You're Ricky Waters. You got more rushing yards. You're Corey Dillon. You're Fred Taylor. And I realize everybody's going to say, well, wait a minute. Do big games count? Does playing really well in the playoffs, does that count? Yeah, it counts. And so I think he's got a shot. I think it's arguable on both sides.
Peter, I heard Adam Schefter make an impassioned case for Mike Shanahan, former Broncos coach, former Washington coach. Actually, I think a lot of fans, and we get some callers to the show, are surprised he's not already in. What's the deal with his candidacy?
Well, some of it is sort of logistical. Until this year, when the rules were changed by the Hall of Fame, until this year, all coaches and all contributors, all former commissioners, and anybody who had anything to do with football, but who didn't play, they were all in one category. And so when you pick out one or sometimes two each year, there are other candidates who over the years have been higher on the list, in terms of what the voters have voted for than Mike Shanahan. I believe strongly, and I think it's Mike Shanahan's time. I mean, not only, he goes up basically against Tom Coughlin with 2 Super Bowls, who I think is very deserving, and also the very legitimate case of Mike Holmgren. So those are probably the 3 leaders on the coaches list. And now the Hall of Fame has divided long retired players, the senior candidates, all coaches, and then all other contributors. So basically the coaches now are alone. So there's going to be a coach probably out of Holmgren, Shanahan, and Coughlin. One of those guys is going to have his name advanced to the committee and who will be voted on by the entire committee. My feeling is going into the meeting, and my mind has changed many times. I'm a consultant this year. I'm not a voter. But many times going into a meeting, I felt one way. And then after, in the middle of the meeting, I've changed my mind. But as of right now, with 2 Super Bowls, with his incredible modern coaching tree, and the fact that he beat Mike Holmgren head-to-head in the Super Bowl, the Green Bay-Denver Super Bowl, when the Packers were heavy, heavy favorites, that would sway me to at least going into the meeting thinking that Shanahan would probably be number 1 on my list going in.
Peter, you've been really generous with your time. Just got 2 more little ones for you. One, we're talking about the Hall of Fame, and you're a consultant now. You're no longer on the committee because you retired, but we still get to hear you because you're doing the Let's Go podcast, which is really awesome. There was a story that came out on ESPN about Robert Kraft and about how he's pretty salty that he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, especially considering that Jerry Jones is in the Hall of Fame. He thinks that they're maybe kind of equal in terms of influence. But there was another detail that perhaps because Kraft has been, pretty obvious about, making documentaries to show how influential he was for the Patriots dynasty, that's actually turning off voters. And that maybe he's coming on a little too strong. What do you think of that as someone who was in those rooms and on that committee for as long as you were?
Number one, Maggie, I don't care. I don't care about any of those things. I care about one thing. What were Robert Kraft's contributions to the sport and to his team? And the reason that I believe he's a Hall of Famer, one of them, not only has he had a lot of influence on the broadcast committee over the years, and he was very influential in preventing a strike in 2011. But I also think that, the fact that everyone on God's green earth was telling him in 1999 and 2000, as 1999 turned into 2000, don't hire Belichick. You're making a huge mistake. Play it safe. Go hire Dom Capers. Go hire somebody else. He was the only one, even among members of his family, who wanted to hire Belichick. And so I give him a lot of credit for that, a lot of credit. Without Bill Belichick, you can parse who matters more, Belichick or Brady. I don't care. They needed both of them. And Robert Kraft stood on his head and said, we're hiring Belichick.
Peter, last one for you. You recently retired. We got some news yesterday. Adrian Wojnarowski is now going to retire to become the general manager of the St. Bonaventure men's basketball team. I don't know if you could have become the GM of the Ohio Bobcats football team. I don't know. Missed opportunity for you there, Pete. But what would be your advice to Woj for the next few months of his retirement? What would you say to him knowing what you know now?
I would just say, take some time to enjoy life, which he's going to do, I'm sure, and do what you want to do. I reached the point in my life, Maggie, where, the 3 adult male members of my family were all dead by age 64. And I am 67. And I just said, I'm not going to be like my very good friends, Paul Zimmerman and Don Banks, and die on the job. Just not going to do that. And I didn't think that all of my lifestyle was really, it really fit with, living till I'm 85. And I know Woj will do this. I was with him at Chris Mortensen's memorial service, and he showed me the NIL list for St. Bonaventure. He was into making St. Bonaventure a nationally respected program. And he's going to do what he loves. He loves Ole in New York, St. Bonaventure University. Good for him. I am totally thrilled for him and happy that he didn't let money rule this decision. He let life rule this decision.
Peter, thank you. Enjoy the game. Gosh, do we miss Don Banks all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this. And again, you look fabulous. So this is working for
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate it, Maggie. I really, really appreciate it. Good to be with you guys.
Have fun tonight, Peter.
Have fun and
Okay.
good luck raising all that money for Enfield, for your hometown to get their youth sports back in order. That's really important. That's great stuff. All right, the one and only Peter King. There we
Peter,
go.
of course, was a baller on the baseball diamond back in the day. I've heard stories.
Yeah, Juan Soto himself. He learned everything from Peter.
We learned a lot in that interview. But one thing, I told you, Woj is into being a GM. He's going to kill it. Wait till St. Bonnie's is in the tournament and Woj is on the sideline. You're going to be like, he made the right call.
I mean, listen, I've been to Olean also. Listen, he's got a special place in his heart for it. It's his alma mater. That's fantastic. I just don't know if it's going to stick. I think you get used, the juice is there, and the urge to pull you back in can be like a drug. Okay, that was awesome. We get to check in with Peter King, talk a little Hall of Fame, which is always fun. Coming up, we've got lots more to do, including a pick for tonight's game, which we will do, and also which injury heading into Week 3 in the NFL is going to be felt the most by their team. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
College seas, so peaceful and fair. Bolero's playing, the wind in the air. Derek's running on a beach so free. But where's Peter Bellotti? He's nowhere to be. Oh Pete, you're never at your desk, like a ghost in the office. What a lovely mess. Bolero's in the background, but we all agree the real Peter Bellotti, he's nowhere to be. Oh Pete, oh Pete. They say the word bucolic means serene and pure. But waiting for Pete, man, that's hard to endure. Well, Derek shows up, but not our boy Pete. He's out there somewhere taking naps on repeat. Oh Pete, where could you be? Are you lost in the fields, so wild and free? Bolero's playing, but let's not pretend Bellotti's absence will never end. Derek and Bolero both show up on cue. but Peter Bellotti, well, that's nothing new. You can count on the sun, the wind and the breeze, but Pete at work, now that's just a tease. Follow Pete, oh Pete, will you ever show all you lost in the fields? So you call it meadow. Valero's fading, the day's almost through, but Bellotti, my friend, we're still waiting for you. Valero both show up on cue, but Peter Bellotti, well, that's nothing new. You can count on the sun, the wind and the breeze, but Peter what? Now that's just a tease. Final Pete, oh Pete, will you ever show? Are you stuck in some college meadow?
One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Thank you to Peter King, who joined us in the last segment. If you missed Peter talking about the Hall of Fame, specifically Eli Manning and Marshawn Lynch, you asked a great question about Jim Plunkett, Perloff, another two-time Super Bowl champ, another guy who had literally finished his career with a 500 record regular season, just like Eli Manning. Why one guy's in, why another guy's not in, about Kyle Shanahan and Mike Holmgren and Tom Coughlin. Really, really great stuff with Peter. And then a little advice for Woj, too, as that was a big media story yesterday that he's retiring.
Yeah, and apparently Woj has been walking around with an NIL list in his pocket. I mean, geez. Woj brings that energy to the breaking stories to St. Bonaventure, who has been in the tournament recently. Well, I'm telling you, powerhouse.
The new
powerhouse.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
St. Bonaventure Bonnies.
Who's the famous player? Was it Bob Lanier who went to St. Bonaventure? Or?
I think it was him, and also, did one of the Van Bredikovs either go there or coach there? Anyway.
Yeah.
Because we had Peter, we kept him for a while. He's so gracious to do that. Chris Lopresti's update got pushed a little bit. So, CeeLo, what's the latest?
All right. Well, I got a little injury status update on Rams wideout Cooper Kupp from NFL Network's Ian Rappaport about an hour ago or so. So, not going on injured reserve. So, he could return over the course of the next couple of weeks, but it was a high ankle sprain that he suffered this past weekend. So, he'll spend the next week or so in a cast to help the swelling go down before he begins his rehab. Rams, of course, off to a rough start ahead of a home game with the 49ers this Sunday, where they will be without Kupp, and is Puka Nacua back?
He's out still,
out as well, so that's a tough spot for them, even though Christian McCaffrey's out for the Niners. Well, Deebo Samuel as well, so both teams missing some key weapons.
But the Rams line is also hurt. Like
they are very banged up.
That's a disastrous start for them.
Yes, yes, it is.
A lot of people picked them to do very well.
Oh, I picked them to win the NFC West. Whoops.
Yeah.
Oops.
Can't account for those early injuries, right? We thought the Packers were going to be without Jordan Love for at least a month or so. so with the sprained MCL from the Brazil season opener for Green Bay. But after missing week 2, Love was back on the practice field yesterday as a limited participant.
I'm going to take the week and just take it day by day and see how it feels. But I'm not going to make any decision on that now. You know, I'm hopeful that I'll get to that point where I can get in there. But we're just going to take it day by day and see.
So it would seem, at least on the surface, he might have a shot at facing the Titans this Sunday. If not, Malik Willis gets a shot at his former team on the road in Nashville. The Panthers said they've got no interest in trading the now benched Bryce Young just 2 games into his second year. Of course, the 2023 first overall pick. Baker Mayfield was the top guy back in 2018, flamed out with his first team, the Browns. Took a while to find his home and his footing now with the Bucs.
Quarterback's hard, especially for young guys when you're not surrounded with the pieces that not given the opportunity to have success. And so a lot of the time, guys have the talent, they might have the brains, but they don't have the right opportunity, the right fit. I mean, I'm sitting here right now in a way better fit than the other places I've been. And that's not to put other teams down.
So a little support there for what Bryce is going through. And he flamed out with the Panthers as well in that 1 year, different regime, of course, different situation. But he has been through Carolina. Exactly. Yes. The owner seems to be sort of the common denominator here in recent years.
Yeah,
Carolina. Yes. Let's lighten things up a bit with Jim Harbaugh. Asked yesterday about one of his coaches. Couldn't quite hear which one. Maybe it was offensive coordinator Greg Roman. Doesn't really matter in the end result of what he has to say here.
He's a great coach. I mean, one of the best I've ever been around. Like Moses, I'm gonna die leaning on my staff.
Like Moses, I'm gonna die leaning on my staff. Now, he loves a good Bible reference. This is not the first time he's done this. The problem here, though, is Moses didn't die leaning on his staff, as far as we know, and as far as what the Bible says. So people started digging on this yesterday. I didn't. People were digging on this. I read some stories that were looking into it, and it actually gets better. So apparently Lou Holtz used this quote or phrase when he was head coach of Notre Dame back in the day. So there was a New York Times article written from more than a decade ago, and he talked about Moses dying leaning on the staff. And in the middle of this speech he was giving, or whatever it was, speaking engagement, he stops mid-sentence because someone's saying something from the audience. So he leans in, he listens, and then he says, "Oh, I've been corrected. Peter died leaning on the staff, not Moses."
Got it.
But that apparently is wrong as well.
Oh, no.
Peter died by crucifixion in Rome. It was Jacob who was known for leaning on his staff and did so as he died, worshiping God and blessing Joseph's sons. So Coach Holtz and Coach Harbaugh, a little more Bible study, it seems, is needed.
Wait a minute, though. Am I missing something here about leaning on the staff? He means this as a double.
Correct.
A double meaning.
His coaching staff, whereas we're talking about
is
the
like
physical
a
staff.
Right.
Yes.
Well, we've been talking a lot about words this morning.
Double meaning there. Yeah.
Kind of obvious.
Well, he's making a joke. I don't think that Moses referred to as the Israelites as his staff,
Correct.
like offensive and defensive coordinators.
But I think the wordplay by Jim Harbaugh was on the obvious side. Yes.
I don't know. I'm just asking. I've never heard this before, and I didn't hear it when Lou Holtz said it either.
But he didn't actually mean that he was going to die on a wooden stick that was holding him up. He meant his staff.
Listen, Jim Harbaugh is weird, okay?
Yes. Okay.
Not because of the Bible stuff, just because he's an odd bird, all right? So I don't know what he means.
When I saw that quote, it almost looked like a Jay-Z line or a Rick Ross line or something. Like that, we could do a game of Jim Harbaugh saying, "Who is this?"
But Jim
rapper
Harbaugh is trying to become a soundbite all the time now. Ever since he got to the Chargers, he's like, "I'm in LA. I'm going to get some attention. I'm going to say what funny, witty things."
I mean, like Moses, I'm going to die on my staff. Like that.
It is a good bar.
That sounds like something that Jay-Z has said already on a rap. I think I heard that in A Reasonable Doubt yesterday.
And he got it from Coach Holtz.
Yeah, I know. It's like we need maybe some new material.
By the way, Moses 120 in the Old Testament when he died.
Good
I always
run.
love the ages. Yeah,
I know. The ages are great. Like Sarah had a baby at 98 or something.
Yeah. That was
I don't know
IVF.
what doctor she had, but obviously.
All right, let's go to baseball now. The Brewers clinched their third NL Central title in 4 years on a night where they walked off the Phillies 2-1. First-year manager Pat Murphy stopping the clubhouse celebration amidst the flow of champagne as longtime radio voice and Brewers legend Bob Uecker, joined in on the fun.
Hey, 1 second! There is no one who epitomizes a champion
the way this man does right here. There is no one out here. What an example for us to be with every single day. Bob Uecker. No doubt about it.
There you go. They're having a grand old time in Milwaukee yesterday with the great Bob Uecker.
And Perloff wants to get rid of clubhouse celebrations.
At least that one's for a division title. The Yankees going nuts for a postseason berth last night in Seattle was a bit much.
Listen, all of them
Did they
are
really?
fun.
Yes. Full-blown celebration, the goggles, the champagne, all
The
of
lights.
I also think it's just such a mess. I mean, there's like, who's got to clean up after all these celebrations?
Yeah, that I was thinking that too. A lot of
Anytime-
shampoo for the carpets.
Anytime they are honoring Bob Uecker, we're all about it.
Yes.
Thank you, CeeLo. 855-212-4227. Coming up, we will turn our attention to college football. Josh Pate, CBS Sports, will join us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
I'm into the college football slate this weekend. I think there's a lot of fun games going on. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Perloff's like, give me next week. Give me Alabama, Georgia. Give me the heavy hitters. I'll take a little USC, Michigan. I'll take a little Tennessee, Oklahoma. And I know our next guest will as well. We like to welcome Josh Pate into the program. Josh Pate's college football show. A little on the nose with the title there, Josh, but I like it. Also a big fan of your podcast. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
I am wonderful. I don't understand how in this great world where we only get like 13 or 14 of these Saturdays, how can we as sporting people afford to look past one of these? I don't understand it. We've got plenty on the board this week.
Well, the big noon game is Ohio State Marshall. At some point, I get a little frustrated with some of the scheduling in September.
Look, hey, all due respect now to Marshall, you and I are on the same page with that. When I'm elected commissioner of this sport, the first thing I want to do, I want to fix officiating. The second thing I want to do, both of these can be done on day one, is I want to knock on the door of every conference and say, I'm in charge of scheduling now. No more of this. The non-conference is terrible for a lot of you, but also, even with the way the conference stuff is balanced out, it's not balanced out. October 12th, for example, in this sport, people who hate college football will be drawn to October 12th. That's how big that Saturday is. And then we've got other weekends where, like you just said, one of the premier spots for one of the major networks is featuring Ohio State Marshall. And what can the network do? They can only choose from what's available. So it's like we took a piece of toast and we globbed the peanut butter on it, but then no one spread it out. Someone's got to spread it out.
Well, Josh, you won us over. We'll vote for you when you run for president or whatever of college football. A couple more things to get to, specifically, though, about this week, because why not? We're here. We've got it on the table. I think it's a big deal to me that Michigan right now is really facing a little bit of like a reckoning. Now, Perloff doesn't think any of this matters because they're in this championship glow. Maybe you call it a championship hangover. But if they get boat raced by USC like they did against Texas, and I don't know if that will happen, but if they do, like ... fill in the blank for me there. Like, what's at stake for Michigan this week?
It's just a complete supreme doubting of the windshield. Like the rearview mirror tells the story of the past. The trophy is every bit as shiny as it was when they walked off the field in Houston last year. That's true. And I do think there's a little bit of a, hey, whatever happens this year happens. It's worth it because we won it last year. I think there is some of that. But at the same time, this is Michigan. These aren't people who thought, hey, let's do like TCU. Let's have one big year. Hopefully we win it. And then who cares? We're Michigan. Like, we're supposed to be there every year. Georgia doesn't think this way. Alabama doesn't think this way. They would panic even if they won 5 in a row. So if you got clown stomped by Texas at home and then USC did the same thing to you within the span of a calendar month, and that's stuff that they're not used to seeing there over the span of several years, I think there would be a healthy amount of doubt about the future of the program, having still enjoyed the recent history of the program.
Do you think that would come down on Coach Sharon Moore and maybe he'd be short-lived as head coach?
I think the patience would be short-lived. Michigan is a lot different about how they hear outside noise. Obviously, they've been well trained to deal with outside noise. So I don't think it would be like that. I do think that you always have to monitor what the decision makers around a college football program think. It's no different at Florida State or Florida right now as it is Michigan. It doesn't matter, all due respect, what your message board and talk radio culture says. It is the power players around the program, and they love Sharon like they were all in on him. So I'm sure there was somewhat of a logical understanding. There will be a step back. It makes sense to have a step back this year. Now, a leap backwards probably is the kind of conversation at the end of the year where Sharon, all right, look, I know it's tough. We bit the bullet with you, but now, and then they get a serious look on their face. Now, next year, now we got to get this fixed, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah? Okay. Handshake.
Yeah, everyone nodding along. Yes. Josh Pate is joining us. Josh Pate's college football show. We're big fans. And we're talking about this slate. Now, another one that I like that I think is interesting is Tennessee, because we've all finally learned how to correctly pronounce the quarterback's name, Nico Iamaleava, because he deserves our attention and our respect. Tennessee's been great. They go into Oklahoma, but they haven't really played anybody. They go into Oklahoma, Oklahoma's first home game against an SEC opponent where they are a member of the SEC. This is a big deal. How can Oklahoma engineer an upset as they are the underdogs in this game?
So how about that pronunciation? In this post-Tua world of ours, he has taught us. He has really, really lessened the learning curve on these pronunciations. So I'm going to this game Saturday. I'm really looking forward to it. I've never been to a football game at Oklahoma, just storm chasing. Never been to football in the state of Oklahoma. And so the orange shirt notwithstanding, I think Oklahoma can make this a dogfight. I think there's a very specific game script that they have to follow. But you guys watch college football just like I do. Every year around this time, do we not get taught a valuable lesson? And that is, don't be getting drunk on week 1, 2, and 3 against superior competition. Like every year you find yourself in the fourth quarter of a game texting your buddies saying, how did I fall for it? Now, that's not necessarily Tennessee this week. But Maggie, you just presented it the right way. Most of the country is talking about this game like it's Tennessee minus 20.5. It's Tennessee minus 7. There's a touchdown separating these teams, given the home field baked in as well. And all you have to do, and this is easier said than done, but all you have to do if you're Oklahoma is just present a bunch of firsts for Nico. He's a first-year starter at quarterback already, but how do you put him in the first situation where he has 5 or 6 critical 3rd and 5+ situations where he has to throw the football against by far the best defense he has seen and one of the best he'll see all year? How do you make sure this game feels kind of like that Florida State-Boston College game? Not that Florida State and Tennessee are corollary here, but remember, we got close to halftime in that game, and you're looking at the time of possession discrepancy and the total plays run discrepancy, and you're saying, like, Florida State hasn't had the ball. Like, how has this happened? Well, the way it happens is you find a way to sustain drives, and you get the other guy off the field on a couple of 3rd and shorts early, and that's how easily a football game can go like that. So Oklahoma has no illusions that they're going to hang 40 offensively. They are not a great offensive football team right now, which just means kind of like Michigan last year, they go into the game knowing defense has to do it for them. And when pretty high-level defensive players know they have to do it for you, and their backs against the wall at home in their conference opener, as you said, college kids tend to play at a really high level in that environment. So I think Oklahoma's going to find a way to make it close in the fourth.
Didn't even mention the Josh Heupel revenge factor on this game. But go ahead, Pearl.
Staying in the SEC, how much panic should there be in Georgia about how close the Kentucky game was last week?
There should be responsible concern. I'm not going to go as far as to say panic because 2 years ago, they went up to Missouri and flat out should have lost a game, and they won the national title that year. The last time they went to Kentucky, they won 16-6, and it was Stetson Bennett's most horrific game in a Georgia uniform. So this kind of stuff is not a stranger to them, but now I'm from Georgia. So like 80% of my social circle are Georgia fans. So there's one side of the coin, but then the other side is I got all my buddies texting me saying, oh, good. Like now that we got that out of the way, now we'll be good to go. We'll be off to the races. And I'm like, you don't just speak that into existence, right? You don't just ask that into being. Like it could really be that your offensive tackle situation is just not great. And then they just lost their best offensive lineman, Ratledge, for a few weeks before the Bama game. It could be that you had to play 3 defensive linemen 50-plus snaps, and the next closest guy got 17 because you don't have waves of defensive line depth like you've had in the past. Now, they're going to get a few of them back for Bama. It could be that your wide receivers haven't emerged, and maybe they just won't emerge. It could be that your tight ends aren't nearly as good a blocker as Brock Bowers was, and he's off to the NFL. So these are tangible things that they could be concerned, or it could be that they've got one of the best coaching staffs down there, and Georgia does what good teams do, and they start scaling performance, and they peak at the right time.
Josh Pate is joining us for just a couple more minutes here, and always appreciate his time. Josh Pate's college football show. It's about soccer. No, obviously, it's about college football. It's what he does. Which quarterback has impressed you the most this season?
Well, I saw Cam Ward, and he did what he did to Florida in week 1, and I'm tempted to say Cam Ward because I don't think that he was as readily apparent on top of all the quarterback lists in the preseason. Like Quinn Ewers has been good, and he was supposed to be good. Nico, I think anyone closer to Tennessee understood he was going to be a star. Cam Ward, there was a little bit of, we'll see. He's been great down there. But the problem, well, if you want to call it a problem, the problem for him at Miami is no one's going to value that Florida win, because they're just going to say, well, who cares? Everyone beats Florida. And Tennessee, or Miami rather, has got a very, very soft schedule by elite team standards. One of the sneaky games to watch this weekend, this is why I recommend people don't tune out this weekend, they go to USF. USF is having to remove the tarps from the upper deck of that stadium down there, so they expect a good crowd. That's the team that had Bama out in the deep end in the fourth quarter before Bama pulled away and made it look like that game had been a blowout. So USF sneakily will be one of the tougher teams Miami faces the rest of the way. Make of that what you will as an indictment on their schedule. But Cam Ward walked in that place. I was down there watching them practice in spring. He had just gotten there. And the way that team gravitated around him, the way he handled himself around those guys, you would have thought he had been there 5 years. And the best alpha types, as soon as they walk in the room, that's how it is. There aren't many of them, and he's one of them. So Cam Ward's right at the top of my list right now.
Josh, you mentioned Quinn Ewers. If you were Steve Sarkisian, would you be at all, worried that Arch Manning is going to play so well, we don't know how much he'll play, that there's a quarterback controversy there? Or do you think that this is obviously still Quinn Ewers' job and there's nothing to really worry about with Arch?
I love it. If I'm Steve Sarkisian, I love it. This is why I have recruited this way. I don't ever use the phrase quarterback controversy unless you're in a place like Michigan. Michigan's got a quarterback controversy. The controversy is they don't have one. That's the controversy. Yeah. When you've got 2 of them, you've got a quarterback blessing on your hands. And the worst case scenario here is not that you're bad at quarterback. The worst case would be you're so good, you have to tell a really qualified player he's the second best on your team. He doesn't give you the best chance to win. That's a tough conversation, but it's a blessed conversation to have. So they're about to play 2 inferior teams. Arch is probably going to light it up. And at that point, you've got to trust your judgment and discernment and, again, block out the outside noise. You thought Quinn Ewers gave you the best chance to win at the start of the season. If you still think that by the time the Oklahoma game rolls around, it doesn't matter how video game-ish Arch Manning's stat line looks. You put the guy in who gives you the best chance to win.
Josh, last one for you. Josh Pate is joining us. Now, you mentioned this before about going to Oklahoma to storm chase. Now, Perloff and I, our show is on across this country. Literally, we're on in Alaska, to Florida, Texas, California, Wisconsin, you name it, our show's on there. Boise, big fans, right? We're from the Northeast. Storm chasing, not really a part of our culture, lexicon. We just don't have the opportunities really to do it. Is there a skill to this, or do you just have to be that fearless person and a little crazy to go after these tornadoes?
I'd say it's not something you need to have. It's something you need to be missing, because a normal person would not be into this. So it's like a layer that's supposed to be there mentally that's not there. I grew up in the South. So I grew up in the what you would call Dixie Alley, which is like the South's version of Tornado Alley. Really active, really violent in the spring, and everyone's terrified of it. For whatever reason, I grew up as a kid coming home from school, staying at Meemaw's house every day until my parents picked me up from work watching SportsCenter and the Weather Channel. And I got sucked into atmospheric science. And this is during the whole twister revolution of the late 90s. And so I've always been fascinated by it. I do it every spring. I've been in Oklahoma 3 times this year already, just in spring storm chasing. And it's so weird to go out there when the forecast is like partly cloudy, sun, and football. That's why I'm going out there. It's just really weird.
Well, have you had any close calls?
Yeah, I've documented 13 in person so far. March 3rd, 2019, we were in Beauregard, Alabama. I actually smiled, but we had 23 fatalities within a quarter-mile radius of where we were. EF4 tornado, really bad deal. So you have to have an immense amount of respect. There's like an unmatched adrenaline that you have when you're in the presence of a tornado, and how violent things are, even more so than what you could ever see in 4K on your screen. It's unbelievable. And if you've ever seen it, you're either terrified and never want to see it again, or it's like a drug and you're hooked. You'll never stop chasing again.
So if you had a choice between these 2 broadcast careers, Jim Cantore or Paul Feinbaum, what is the,
Okay. Look, my mom asks me this all the time. If you're telling me I don't get out in the field, I'm choosing sports. That's why I did not go into meteorology, because I never thought the Jim Cantore route was possible. I thought it was just hand against a green screen all week, every year. But if I can get out in the field, like if you let me do in college football what Jim Cantore does in weather, I don't know. Don't make me choose. Maybe there's a way to do both.
Yeah, definitely
maybe
do
there's
both.
just a way to do both.
I mean, I think you're kind of doing it for this very narrow thing of storm chasing. Well, stay safe out there, and maybe a different hobby at some point down the road. Something a little safer. Scuba diving. Maybe you could bungee jump. I don't know. It's got to be something else.
We'll see. Let me think about it. You and my mom are very on the same wavelength right now.
I know. I am a mom, so that's not that surprising.
You wear that orange shirt to Oklahoma, that you'll be courting trouble.
No. We're peeling this off as soon as we wrap this. Yeah,
Got it.
Yeah. You'll be taking your own life into your hands in another way. Josh Pate's college football show. Check it out. He's on CBS Sports, CBS Sports HQ. Podcast is great as well. Josh, thanks for the time. We know you're busy.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Storm chasing. You ever done it?
Oh, yeah. No, of course. Well, the funny thing about
New York City?
I think the modern thing, too, is anytime I see about 3 drops of rain, maybe hear thunder in the distance, that means Maggie lost power in New Jersey.
That's true.
You lose power if there's a quarter inch of rain, it's out.
I know, and it's so annoying. And I don't want to live in the wilderness, and I'm not like a camper. Like, I don't want to do any of that stuff, and so for me, I don't love losing power because it's annoying. It's annoying. But anyway, thank you to Josh Pate. Appreciate that. We've got lots more to do, including we mentioned which injury is going to be most felt in week 3 of the NFL season. We'll tell you about that in just a moment. All right, sports fans, listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening, because health is a long game and it's yours to win. Now, here is the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Void in Mississippi. Learn more at depend.com.
You're in a 4.5-minute break. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is sponsored by the new 2025 Hyundai Tucson Hybrid that has class-leading advanced safety features like the available blind spot view monitor to make your ride more enjoyable. All right, it's an interesting trend out there. I'm not going to stir it up too much, but I'm just saying a lot of guys who cashed in this summer seem to have ankle injuries. A lot of guys who have a lot of money. No, that is terribly mean, and I'm not going to stir that up. But there are an amazing amount of injuries going on. Adam Schefter called it the fantasy football apocalypse through 2 weeks. I know very well. I lost out on Carson Steele in my fantasy waiver wire pickup this week. The Chiefs backup, he's a Pacheco, went down. Maggie, we have to talk about these injuries because I feel like that's the story of the early season. And I guess we got to get into which ones are really going to make the big difference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're talking about guys who are on IR. You know, obviously, like Tua, you know, these big injuries, if you're out for several weeks, obviously that's a different kind of calculus. But just for guys who are going into this week 3, who are either not playing or really banged up, I mean, I think Deebo Samuel. I think we've seen before with the 49ers, even with all this array of talent and all of these offensive weapons, all of a sudden you're down Deebo, you're already down McCaffrey because he's on IR. And it's like, well, you just have, anyone can step up. It's not really like that, I think, as for the 49ers.
Yeah, but who is possibly going to burn them on defense? Like, who's Matthew Stafford throwing to?
Well, they might get a little lucky here, but let's not forget this Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan sort of coaching Jedi mind tricks that they do with each other. Listen, the Rams are in a really tough spot, but not having Deebo, we've seen in the past 49ers lose to lesser competition because Deebo was out.
Yeah, but I feel like this is one where they can be conservative with Deebo, because if you cannot beat the Rams without Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, then you're not going to beat the Rams ever. So here's who we got. We got DeMarcus Robinson, who's a pretty good player, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell, who never gets on the field. Generally, this is a must. The Rams look really beat up, so I think this is an opportunity to rest Deebo. I feel like I'm generally more bullish on the Niners than you are. I mean, come on. Christian McCaffrey went out and they blew out the Jets defense with Jordan Mason, so you never know. I understand the importance of Deebo, but this particular game, I mean, if they lose this game, it'll be so bad. Don't you think?
Who's your injury person that you're most concerned about?
Well, I'm going close to home. The Eagles are just terrible without A.J. Brown on Monday night. Basically, the entire defense follows Devontae Smith around the field. Then they were throwing to a punt returner. Britton Covey was open. Of course he was open because he can't do anything. So the Eagles need A.J. Brown desperately against a New Orleans team that looks like they can really move the ball offensively. So A.J. Brown, he said a few weeks to a reporter, the team has been a little less specific about it, but I'm going with that as the most impactful week 3 injury.
And I think you and I are both aligned, not necessarily on whether this is the right decision, but I think we both believe Jordan Love is not going to play.
Oh, I have no idea.
No? Okay, just because Tennessee is favored.
Coin flip.
Yeah, Tennessee favored by a very small amount right now. It's just a 2-point spread, but I don't know. To me, that kind of made it seem like if Jordan Love was playing, even if he's limited, I felt like they would have been at least -1. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you were to look at analytics, Tennessee, all the numbers, they should be 2-0. It's just, I guess you'd call it a luck metric or just a Will Levis made knucklehead plays.
Yeah.
But they've
bonehead quotient.
I just think that Tennessee's defense looks really good, and if Jordan Love's not 100%, but I think so what you're saying is that number says Malik Willis to you.
A little bit, but maybe it actually might be a tad higher if Malik Willis is playing, just because the knowledge of Malik. I don't know.
We'll obviously
different coaching staff.
We'll know more today. We'll know more tomorrow.
Yeah.
I would say 60-40 Jordan Love plays.
I'm okay with it. I really am. I'm okay with it because I think this is just going to be an injury he's going to have to manage the entire season, and might as well let the offensive line and the receivers get used to whatever this version is of Jordan Love, because this is what it's going to be, whether he plays this week or not.
Oh, yeah, but as long as it's not a tear, he'll be fine by the end of the season, I think. I mean, they have such good PT people there.
Jealous.
And also,
this was all Perloff's calamities.
He's not a running quarterback. I think his biggest weapon is his mind, probably, not to be too Jedi about this. But he's got a great arm. I think he's fine.
CeeLo is here with an update for us. What's going on in the world, CeeLo?
Schefter just put out a tweet a little while ago citing a source who called it 50-50 on Jordan Love, that he has a legit chance to play. You say 60-40, so maybe that line starts to change a little bit as he does a little bit more work in practice as the week goes on.
50-50 with quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, is about 95-5 in today's NFL. Trevor Lawrence is 2% chance that we'll see Trevor Lawrence. There he is, whipping the ball around, off into the other team.
I'm glad
was it a good idea that he's out there? I was just thinking, if Perloff somehow had the inside scoop, Woj just retired. Is this something Perloff could take up? There's a hole in the industry.
Have you ever broken
Schefter's source?
I mean, we've all. There are many people in this industry who are in the same boat as me. Maybe once broken a story and realizing how incredibly awful the experience is in every possible way. It is not like saying it's something in an interview, but when you find out something and either one time I broke a story, I think with Peter when I was at SI.
Peter King.
Yeah, Peter King we just had on earlier. It was the most awful experience of my life.
What was the story?
I can't even remember. It was something like a buddy of mine, Kevin Cobb, was going to play or something. And Yeah, it just was terrible.
What was terrible about it?
Well, the team was like, what are you putting that out there for?
Yeah, no, people are mad at you for sure. They don't like when you have information and they don't.
Also, it wasn't like 100% sure that it was actually going to turn out to be right because you never know. So it was completely stressful. If you break a story, say this guy's going to play, until he's out there on the field, you never know.
Can you imagine the stress with the Woj Shams? Is Danny Hurley going to be the coach of the Lakers, or is it going to be JJ Redick? I mean, that's high stakes.
Yeah.
Coach of the Lakers.
When I was at SI too, anything that you publish had to have 4 fact checkers too. I don't think it's quite the same because there's not enough money to pay all those people. But that was stressful too because they're like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "I don't know. No, leave me alone. Call Peter King."
I remember once one of the fact checkers, they wrote something about me and my boss at the time and put in the magazine, like a nice little thing. And the fact checkers called literally to ask how tall I was because in it said that I was like had this sort of tall presence. And they're like, "Are you 5'9"?
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, I just have 11 size feet." I'm actually only 5'8".
You would do one story at Sports Illustrated, there'd be 7 editors on it. Now, I think you see things that are published with half an editor. Maybe AI just does it. I don't even know if they have real editors.
Very different time.
I had one talking about breaking a story when I was covering the Jets, which it wasn't. I mean, I was fed the information. Okay.
Yeah.
And this was.
You got picked. Good for you.
I got picked. It was a connection. I won't reveal who, but someone who definitely would know about the starting quarterback for the Jets. It was the night before the game. And this was when Bryce Petty, of Baylor fame, was getting his first NFL start. And I got it fed to me, so I put it out there. Nobody else had it. No one then confirmed it that night. Not even till the next.
That he was starting.
Correct.
Okay.
To the point where I got a phone call from SNY TV here in New York. I was at a dinner on Long Island that night. I did a phoner with them, and it was out there, and people were, tweeting back at me or whatever. But, normally people that are on the beat after it's out there, they'll follow up with somebody to get the confirmation, and hey, source confirms. All the way till the next morning, to the point where people on the beat who were much more established than myself were like legit annoyed. They could not get the team to confirm it.
Wow.
And it wasn't until the next morning when Schefter finally on his Sunday mornings put it out there. To the point where I was actually nervous. I'm like, oh God, is this going to be wrong? Like I put this out there. Trust this source, and it turned out to be right. And that was like the one time where, to your point, it's not always a feel-good experience. It can be excruciating sometimes as well. A little different than what you experienced, but
yeah,
it was a little scary.
I'm sure a lot of people in this industry have had stories that you knew about, but you weren't allowed to report on.
Sure. Yeah.
Like it was an not an open secret, but everyone knew, a lot of people knew that Michael Sam was going to announce that he was gay. That was like in the industry everywhere. But everyone's like, well, I can't break it. I can't break it. I can't break it. For some reason, I knew that. So someone's like, yeah, in 2 weeks, he's going to say this, but you can't say anything. That happens a lot, I would think.
Yeah, there was a time, this is not the same, but where SI did break a story about, was it Jason Collins who came out?
Yes.
Jason Collins.
I think he wrote a column announcing it. Yeah.
He wrote a guest column. And again, this is a time where, God, this feels so old, where we actually even cared about any of this. And it was a very pivotal moment for guys to come out. And it was Jason, not Jaron, right? Jason Collins. Yeah, they're twins, right? The basketball players. And we were going to do something for SI for the video side, which was I was working. And they wouldn't tell me who the person was until we were sitting on the set.
Wow.
And I was like, guys, I'm not the leak. I've never been the leak. I would never do that. I love this job. I don't want to get fired. I don't care. And they would not tell me until we were sitting on the set who it was.
Well, you probably had also, Maggie, a lot of like flat out embargoes. Like you cannot, where it's even announcing a book title or something where you can tape it, but you can't say anything about it until it airs at a certain date.
The biggest secret's the one that I actually felt the most like nervous about, even though I knew I wasn't going to say anything. I trust myself, was the swimsuit cover. Like I knew when that was still a big deal, and the SI swimsuit cover and who was going to be on the cover and the big reveal and all of that. And I knew weeks before because we would do stuff or like at least a week. And walking around with that info, you just can't say anything.
Who was that cover? Do you remember that happened multiple times?
A few of them, because we used to do these fun like reveal of videos to the model.
I remember one time. Sorry, can I do a humble brag?
Yeah, go ahead.
Terry McDonald, the former editor of Sports Illustrated, pulled me in and he said, "Andrew, which of these 3 women do you think I should do for the swimsuit cover?" And it was Bar Raffaelli, maybe Kate Upton, and maybe somebody else. And I said, Terry, you can't go wrong with all three.
Put all three on the cover.
I was like, 12-year-old Andrew would pick all three.
Yeah. No one's going to criticize any of these choices.
And none of them were, by the way, there was the funny thing about this swimsuit cover, there was barely any swimsuits on the cover by the end. Not a lot of material. Like all three were 3/4 naked.
Yeah, more.
It's going to be the swimsuit edition minus the swimsuits.
It's basically just dental floss as a swimsuit. Where were we? CeeLo, back to you.
Yes, you guys mentioned Will Levis. I think Perloff did, and some of the boneheaded plays. We saw the reaction from his head coach, Brian Callahan, coming off that like bowling ball backwards pass / fumble against the Jets over the weekend. So Levis, of course, when he met the media yesterday, asked about that, and I thought handled it pretty well.
He's not a yeller and a screamer, but he can be, and then there's certain situations that allow for that, and that definitely was one of those situations. So I didn't bat an eye at it. I took the coaching, and I knew I was yelling at myself in my head the same way he was yelling at me.
Wise answer, I would say. It's the way to handle it. Very well done. As far as maybe not handling things with the media so well, but I guess it doesn't really matter for him because he does whatever he wants at Colorado. DeionSanders continues to have these run-ins with both local and national media. Did you hear about this one with the reporter? You guys talked about this already?
Yeah, but you can play it for us.
With the meteorologist about the meteorology report for the upcoming game.
I did not hear.
This is different. What do you have?
I don't know if this was from yesterday. It was in the system, so I guess looking ahead to the weekend and the potential for weather, which was much to the surprise of Deion, as this one reporter learned.
Hey, Coach, with potential rain in the forecast for Saturday.
We got rain? What forecast you got?
Just changed this morning.
No, let me see. It ain't say rain on mine. Who do you use? Straight up.
I just saw it from a local meteorologist this morning.
There you go.
A meteorologist?
That's a mistake. I got 5169. This joker's been accurate.
All right, so he's basically, saying, well, what I have information is better than the meteorologist, and the reporter tried to respectfully continue.
Either way, let's just say there is rain on the.
No, we're not going to say there is rain. I'm one of those good weather man. When you say 60%, I say 40%. 40% chance that
meteorologist that I respect highly said that there's a pretty good chance it rains on Saturday.
30%. Okay. I don't know which one I got. I need to check mine.
I mean, what are we doing here?
Now I want to see if it's going to rain.
I only want to tune in to see.
You didn't even answer the question about either if there's rain. We're not whether there's going to be or not, but if there is.
I'm going to be on Deion's side. That guy was fighting back a little too hard. Like,
I agree.
Dude, you just got
nailed.
I looked it up.
If you pull up your phone and it says 70% chance of not raining, that guy got burned.
Wow. It's going to rain at 10 o'clock.
Stop being so defensive. A local meteorologist, that's when I knew he was in trouble.
Okay.
It's
Team
called by
Deion
cell
here.
phone.
Interesting. Okay.
I really felt like I didn't watch the clip. I felt like Deion was trying to have fun with him.
Yeah.
And the guy just took it really seriously.
All right.
And then maybe it became a little more serious, but I really don't think Deion was trying to be a jerk there.
No, I don't think
until the reporter kind of made it serious.
Well, I'll tell you another phenomenon there. I don't know if you guys have this. My in-laws refuse to use the GPS. They think they understand the roads better than the GPS.
Oh, my gosh.
This guy they'll use it on occasion, but this guy going with a local meteorologist over his cell phone reminded me, oh, he's old school. I saw it on the news. I'm like, yes, your phone is updating in real time, dude.
Do your in-laws still have the paper maps in the car?
No,
they got to pull over to the side of the road.
They like to battle the GPS. It's like, oh. She thinks she knows what she's doing. She does. I'm like, it's a computer.
Well, right now it sounds like you're battling Channel 4's Doppler 3000.
That's
and
right.
I quite frankly would go with the Doppler.
No, but that's already dated. And why would you go with the Doppler over your cell phone?
Because they're giving me the 5-day forecast and I need it.
No, I would definitely go with whatever's latest on my phone.
The local meteorologist is known for being able to swing and miss often and still maintain employment. So.
They're the most. You think football coaches are criticized? The local meteorologists are always destroyed.
Well, because they're often wrong, and that's allowed.
But I don't think that they're destroyed. I think everyone kind of understands. Like, it's kind of like us. Like, we can pick games and be wrong as long as the case is made and it makes sense. That's kind of it. See, I'm on college football weather.com.org, and I'm seeing 60% chance of rain.
Oh, see, we've got conflicting reports here.
Nick Costas told us about these websites that gamblers
When
use.
did that update?
Every 10 seconds.
If you go to Apple location for the weather, and you go to Boulder, if you go to Saturday, it's supposed to rain at 10 o'clock at night, and it's supposed to be heavy rain. So
the game starts at 8 Eastern.
Yeah, so maybe the end.
That's the other thing. If you get a percentage for the entire day, versus, hey, we're
Right.
playing in this time window.
No,
the
you gotta go hour
percentages
by
can
hour.
be different.
I gotta be honest. I got clear on Saturday.
What's
Here we go. This is the
I'm in
the
Boulder
case
right
is
now.
being made. He's got
I see
clear.
the rain coming Sunday.
He's got late rain. You've got 60%. He's got Sunday. And we're all over the map here.
If you click it and go to hourly precipitation, it pops up.
See, I trust the youngest person here. That's Ryan.
Inch of rain.
That's a
in
fair
2
theory.
hours.
I agree with that. But
I think we all agree with that.
Wait, are you what app are you on?
The weather app.
You're not on this, whatever, Deion, what was he said? 59-61 or 61-50, whatever he said, I've never heard of,
So
personally.
I went to that college football weather thing for LSU, South Carolina, and it said 65% chance of rain, and it was the brightest, sunniest day in the history of the world. So I was like, I don't know if I'm not using that site again.
Oh, man. Last hour, we played the Brewers celebrating their division title with Bob Uecker in the clubhouse, talked a little about clubhouse celebrations. And I said, well, for a division title, but when you talk about just clinching a postseason berth, which the Yankees did last night, extra innings win over the Mariners. And just to give you a feel for how pumped up they were in the clubhouse, here was manager Aaron Boone addressing his team before everything went nuts.
We got a division to go win, and we got a championship to go win. But enjoy this first step. Congratulations, and let's
And the spraying begins, and every reporter and interviewer in the locker room was getting doused with it. This on the radio side was Susan Waldman with Garrett Cole.
Yeah, it feels really good.
Dripping off your nose. Why is that?
I have so much beer and champagne on me right now. It's a great cold plunge. It's a great cold plunge.
This is the New York Yankees. They have more postseason berths than anyone else in history. It sounds like they just won the World Series.
Yeah, normally Perloff and I are on total opposite sides of this. I'm like, let them celebrate. It's 162 games. You need something to look forward to. That's an alarming video, though. They do sound like they just won the World
Aaron
Series.
Judge, it means more because we didn't make it last year. Come on, man.
Well, I mean, I get that a little bit, but that did sound a little World Series-esque.
Jazz Chisholm even said, we're going to go win a World Series. I know he's new to all this, so he's excited. He's not used to it, but kind of sums up what's been going on with the Yankees in the last 15 years.
I was really giving him the benefit of the doubt, and then I heard that audio. I was like, you guys don't nearly have the pitching staff to be celebrating like this.
Oh, man. All right, let me finish up with this. You talked about Adrian Wojnarowski retiring and going to St. Bonaventure to be the GM of the men's basketball program, his alma mater. So his now former colleague and NFL counterpart, Adam Schefter, I thought, summing it up best yesterday.
He wanted his life back. He didn't want to have to work on holidays. He didn't want to be away from more family gatherings. He didn't want to have to, as we had to do in the past, take a shower with your phone up against the shower door so you could see a text that's coming in, or take your phone with you to the urinal and hold it in one hand while you're trying to take care of your business in the other. That's the life that we live.
A little behind the scenes there on what it's like to be Schefter.
Listen, you don't want to be having your phone, looking at your phone with one hand, wiping your butt with the other hand is essentially what he said.
Right. Or end up on Instagram Live like Shannon Sharp last week or wherever that was 2 weeks ago.
You don't want to be here with Michelle.
Breaking some news.
Michelle.
Maybe Shannon knew that Woj was retiring. He was like, let me get a head start on this. Oh, no, wait.
You don't want to be with Michelle when she's doing that thing you like. And you accidentally Instagram Live it. Thank God we don't know what that thing is.
Oh, God.
I don't even want to guess. Yeah.
We'll all sit that one out.
With my wife. Yeah. Well, it wasn't his wife, but whatever.
Hey, I have a question, though. Do you
and
really
I gotta
think
stop
it is,
and take a call.
Is it necessary to do that to be Woj?
I guess if you don't want to get beaten to it.
I can't imagine that.
Maybe it takes like a minute to pee. I don't know.
You see how a lot of these go, though, right? Like he'll post it, and then 3 other reporters have it like a minute later.
Less.
Right.
And then they'll have to like courtesy him.
It's all coming from the same spot, so you got to be the quickest if you want to be first, right?
I don't know. Is that how it works?
I was
not in all cases.
I assume he's sitting on a lot of that stuff.
Often
it's in the drafts.
All right, but my point being, when you have 4 or 5 of them all saying the same thing, and happens in the NFL all the time with injury news, whether it's Garafolo, Rappaport, Schefter, whoever.
But the agents tell you like 3 days in advance this is coming.
Okay, but then maybe the text is, hey,
then you really don't want to lose.
You can go with it now.
Yeah.
So that's some are exclusives that no one else has, and it takes a while. But a lot of times it's within seconds or a couple minutes of each other.
Imagine. I don't know. Do you think he's picked up the phone for a source and he's just like,
probably.
Did I catch you at a bad time?
Probably a decent bet.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
All right, I'll laugh to myself about that one. Thank you, CeeLo. Great job all morning long. Coming up, which 0-2 NFL team is in a must-win situation? This is a tip-a-cap of our pal Dave Damashek. Must win in Week 3? You betcha. Do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right. People throw around the term must win. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We don't love doing that around here, Pearl, but there are a couple 0-2 teams. Let's just say backs against it. Really could use a W this weekend.
Yeah.
Who do you have in terms of, if we're going to power rank, who's number one on your list of teams that absolutely cannot afford to go to 0-3?
Well, actually, you know what? This might not be in the spirit of it, but I think this game for Baltimore is incredibly important because Cincinnati has an easy game right this week. They play do they have Washington or somebody like that?
Oh, is it the doubleheader Monday night game? Yes, they're the late game Monday against the Commanders. Bills, Jags are the early game.
So the Ravens' unlikely loss to the Raiders, to me, just changed the entire perception of this season. So now they play another kind of desperate team in the Cowboys. I think Baltimore's got to bring it here. Or be 0-3 in that division is going to be a tough hole. It looks like Pittsburgh's going to have their normal winning season. Cleveland, by the way, they came back in week 2 and looked tough defensively. I just think that this is an important game for them because it's weird. You don't think the Ravens will ever disappear, but 0-3 would be really bad. That's the one that jumped out to me.
Yeah, and I think we're just kind of conditioned that the Bengals can overcome these slow starts if Joe Burrow's healthy, and so it doesn't feel like there's this sort of panic.
Also, too, they have an easy 2 games to get right. So I think the Ravens have a lot more pressure. This feels like a pressure game.
Yeah, going to Dallas, afternoon game. This is going to be a tough one. For me, it's the Jags and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I don't know what the external expectations were for the Jags, but I think once you pay Trevor Lawrence, the internal expectations is you're going to have a bounce back year if he's healthy. And now you got Stroud in the division, so this is not going to be a cakewalk. And then on top of why I think this is so important, I think the Jags are the type of franchise who will overreact to stuff. You know, they cycle through coaches. Now, listen, you had to fire Urban Meyer. Like that was they were in a no-win situation there. But is Doug Peterson safe if they go to 0-3? Would they do something rash? Who's even calling plays? Like, how do we not know this? I don't know. I just find that Jacksonville, I could see it as a place where internally the expectations are a lot higher than externally. And if they go to 0-3, it's going to feel like the sky is falling.
Yeah, I think the sky is falling. I think they spent a lot of money last year, and they did not deliver, especially what was supposed to be an easy division. You let a rookie quarterback win the division. In fact, you weren't even second in that division. I think it's real, the concerns. For some reason, I get the sense that Doug Peterson has lost his fastball there. I mean, they blew it in week 1. That's a tough – that felt like such a devastating loss to Miami. There was like 2 losses. I think that sometimes you lose one so bad it affects you.
Yep.
I'm worried about this team. For sure. It is a must-win, but even that, I don't think that they're on the right course. Something is missing there.
And listen, now they got to go to Buffalo and try to win in Buffalo on Monday night. That's going to be a lot of eyeballs.
I mean, you could point at the GM who took Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson, and Aiden Hutchinson is now arguably the biggest game changer in the game right now. I mean, he's fantastic. There's a lot of hope for Trayvon Walker, but like it's roster building and it's coaching, and there's just an immense amount of pressure. You're absolutely right.
Let's update our poll question. If you were an actor, would you gain 100 pounds for a movie role? I'm a little surprised by the results here. Overwhelming. 71% say no. Absolutely not. So you're not, I get it. Gaining 100 pounds is not ideal, but in theory, you'd be getting paid well for this, right?
Yeah, but it's funny. When I read a story about an offensive lineman who needs to put on weight to keep on weight, I'm always so jealous of that guy. He gets to eat whatever he wants and all milkshake. I know I'm a skinny guy, but that's because I don't eat 5 milkshakes in the morning. This would be amazing. And if you're going to be an actor, you got to go full De Niro. Why would you not gain weight and lose weight? That's how you win an Oscar. That's all they care about. It's like height in a quarterback is losing weight as an actor.
I know. It's like for a man, how you get an Oscar is to like gain a lot of weight or lose a lot of weight. And like women, it's like you have to get naked.
Yeah.
Funny how that double standard
For men,
exists.
you have to be Tom Hanks or British or lose or gain weight.
I'm sorry. Or for a woman, you have to appear on camera with no makeup on, and therefore you will be called brave.
Frances McDormand, is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Charlize Theron in Monster or whatever. It's like, how brave she was.
She had ugly makeup on.
Yeah, they made her look worse, but that was for the role. Yeah, okay. No, people are prioritizing their health these days, and I like it.
Nah, that's a huge mistake on this 70%. I'm strongly in the 30%. If you're going to bother to be an actor, then you got to go all in.
I know, but I forgot who it was said something about method actors. They go like, oh, you got to get in this like mindset and you got to do everything you can to be a method actor. How about just act? Isn't that what the training's for?
Tony Hopkins.
That's who said it, right?
Yeah. Did we hear that story together? I think we did.
Was it to
Robert Downey Jr., I think.
How about just act?
Or no, I don't know.
Jared
What's
Leto's
Robert
big
Downey
into
Jr.?
method acting, and people hate it. Who's around him? Jared Leto, like when he does that.
Remember the guy who played Elvis and then had to keep talking like him for like weeks after? He couldn't undo it. Austin Butler, whatever his name is.
He still sounds like Elvis. I saw him the other day.
Thank you, DJ Stewart. Thank you, Ryan Botcher. Thank you to Chris Lopresti and to Andrew Kaplan, Weedo's Coffee Drinkers. Thank you to the one and only Peter King who joined us and Josh Pate. If you missed any part of the show, download the Maggie and Perloff podcast. See you tomorrow.
You're in a 5-minute break.